Good evening, and welcome to the St. Petersburg By Night podcasting network. Tonight, we present to you our Werewolf the Apocalypse Chronicle, Rage Across Tampa.
Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Twitch channel where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer 5th edition World of Darkness chronicle set in the city of St. Petersburg, Florida. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media, and I am the lead storyteller of St. Pete by Night. But here on Tuesday nights, I get to be the storyteller of Rage Across Tampa, our Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition chronicle set in the city of Tampa, just across the bay from St. Petersburg, where the Guru have been trying for some time to get a firm foothold and to strike back and retake the city of Tampa from the horrible Camarilla kindred who have called that city home for a very, very long time. This is episode 34, also known as Feast or Famine, because tonight the Guru will decide if the kindred will feast or if they will starve, or at least they will make efforts to try and make those kindred starve. But of course, I couldn't do this all by myself, because if I did, it would really just be me monologuing towards you and probably trying to vary my voice to sound like a variety of different characters all at once. And if you've watched one of those scenes before, it's exhausting for me and probably for you as a viewer. No, I have to have some pretty incredible players to make that happen, and I'm very, very lucky enough to have some incredible players. So players, go ahead and introduce yourselves, if you please.
Hey everybody, my name's Preston. I play Aiden Goodspeed, the Arun of the Gale Stalkers.
Hi everybody, I'm Champ, Champagne, Goose Ass, if you know, you know. But I will be playing Aspen Weiss, Philodox of the Silverfags.
Hi everybody, I'm Noree. I will be playing Malicious Jester, Galliard of the Black Furies.
Hi everybody, I'm Walks, and I will be playing Lucas Shaw, Ragabash of the Shadow Lords.
So, Champ, I found that nickname to be quite foul, so I'm going to give it a big old goose egg as a rating for tonight's nickname. But well played, well played. So tonight's we are executing the mid-season finale of sorts for our story Rage Across Tampa, as we're going to be going on a bit of a hiatus for the next month following tonight's episode as I make the sojourn northward for the last vestiges of summer and an attempt to soak up the Michigan humidity. I'm not really sure why I'm doing this, but I will be heading north for the next month, so we will be taking a bit of a hiatus. But last week, the pack was faced with a multitude of paths, a variety of options as to where to proceed to next. They could go after the plasma bank that they had scouted out, that Spud had given them some intel on. They could go after the support group that the cult of Fenris had made mention to. Or they could choose a different path of their very own. It seems that after some discussion, after some debate, after some information came to light, they've decided to look into one of those paths, but definitely pursue the other as they go after the plasma bank, hoping to cut off a valuable food source as well as pay off their contact Spud, who had requested some certain supplies from that plasma bank in exchange for the information he had relayed. Our story tonight, however, starts with Aspen. Aspen, you and Artie, after some discussion last week, decided to go check out this support group that you had heard from the cult of Fenris was a very important location to one of the higher ups of the Camarilla kindred, their king, or perhaps someone near the top of their social ladder. Artie showed a bit of hesitation at the prospect of going, but after some reassurance from you saying that you would go with him instead of sending Aiden, he agreed and decided to go. So a few days after that meeting, you find yourself sitting in Regina, the beaten up brownish green Jeep that is parked in the parking lot, the circular parking lot of this community center building near the college campus nearby. The building is a large concrete building, as most buildings are in the Florida area, meant to withstand heavy winds and ever-changing temperatures. There are several other cars parked in the parking lot, whether they be individuals walking on one of the walking paths that go through the forest nearby, whether they're playing at some of the courts nearby, or maybe they've just gotten done swimming at the swimming pool that's attached to this particular facility. But some of those cars must also belong to the members of this support group that is to be meeting here this early evening. Artie sits behind the steering wheel of the car, his hands kind of clenching the steering wheel as he looks towards the building, not making any motions, at least not immediately, to exit the vehicle, but instead just staring into the middle distance that is the building nearby.
Aspen will reach her hand over to the steering wheel, grab one of his hands, pull it closer.
He blinks a couple times as if snapping out of a daze, and then looks over to you and gives a weak but pleasant smile. You ready?
Yeah, and it'll be okay. We'll get in and out, and we'll have a nice stay at home.
This might sound weird, but especially since we call a cemetery home for the most part, but this feels like walking over a grave to me.
You want to talk about it?
Do we have time for that?
I always have time for you, if it will help.
Before Mom died, I used to bring my brother here on a pretty regular basis. He loved playing basketball at the gym, and it was kind of boys' time. The time before everything started to get really bad, before she got so sick that she couldn't work anymore. And it was just nice. It felt like an escape from everything, an opportunity to feel normal, as weird as that can sound. And I haven't been back since. I haven't even driven by it. I try to avoid it as much as possible because it's one of the last good memories I have about all of that whole time period, and having to come here because leeches might have something to do with this place, or that it's sullied in some way, makes me really apprehensive, because then what's good about it anymore?
The memories, that's not going to change. Memories are always going to be there, and they're always going to be good, and they can't be tainted just because of others' actions.
I used to think that were true. The Banes, during the whole ritual, they sullied some of that for me. Hearing his voice saying the things they were making him say, or sounding like him and saying. It's still hard to decide whether it was them, or it was him, or it was something in me, like guilt, or... You told me it was Banes, and I believe you, but it's just...
It's what Banes do. They take our doubt, our guilt, our fear, our anger, and they use it against us. So whether it was a bit of your own fears and insecurities and the Bane using that, both of those can be true, but it wasn't him. And he wouldn't say those things.
I hope not. I really try hard to block out that weird, foggy, red-coated image I had of him after the change. That kind of blurry memory that pops back of his terrified face. I'm really glad you're here.
She'll squeeze his hand. I'll always be here. We always have each other.
Yeah. We always will. Well, let's go make a memory of this. He gives
Sounds good.
Your hand a squeeze and leans in and gives you a kiss on the cheek before climbing out of the car.
She'll also climb out of the car before Artie can open the door for her.
Closing the doors of the car, you cross the small concrete parking lot, heading towards two double glass doors that open at the front of the building. You proceed in past a small reception area where there's a secretary working, doing park passes or pool passes or sign-ups for various activities. And you move over towards the gymnasium, where you can see signs for this particular Tampa grief and loss support group. Walking through the doors into the gymnasium, you can see a small ring of chairs assembled off to one side. There's a folding table that's up with a coffee maker on top, as well as a plate of some cookies and some veggies next to it. There are a few individuals milling about the area of various descriptions, heights, builds, but there is a definite energy in the air, a dour and sullen energy. Some of the individuals talk to each other in pairings, obviously having met in previous support groups, while others kind of linger off to the side on their own or make their ways over to one of the chairs in the ring, sitting down and holding a cup of coffee or slowly chewing on one of the treats that has been supplied. After a few minutes, the double doors to the gym open again, and a woman in her late 20s, potentially early 30s, wearing very business casual wear, like a pantsuit of sorts, makes her way in. She's got a dirty blonde hair that's done up into a bun and some spectacles on, and she's got a clipboard in one hand with a pen kind of inserted into the clipboard. She says, "Welcome, everyone. We'll be getting started in just a few moments. Please take your seats." She makes her way over to clearly what is a designated organizer leader chair. And she sits down, and as some of the others around the area finish up their conversations and start making their way towards the chairs, finding a place to sit, Artie looks to Aspen and reaches over and takes her hand again and walks over towards the ring of chairs and has a seat. At this point, the woman calls the meeting to order and starts directing the conversation to various individuals, asking follow-up questions to previous meetings, before also directing to new members of the support group who've come by to tell their stories. There are a variety of stories here. Stories of loss, stories of pain, stories of grief. One is the mother of a child who OD'd after a long battle with drug addiction. Another is the sister of a veteran who took their life after a very long struggle with mental health after returning from tour. The stories are painful, and they are very hard to hear. And in their voice, you can hear the sadness, the pain, and for some, a very numb quality. But as the woman, the director, listens, she nods along very empathetically. She passes out a box of tissues when necessary. And then eventually she looks over to the two of you. "Hello to our new arrivals."
Hello, nice to meet everyone.
"It's nice to meet you too. My name is Janice. I'm the organizer of this support group, and if you are willing, we would love to hear your stories." Artie.
Aspen. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Aspen's gonna look over to Artie, just kind of like give a knowing look of you or me first.
Artie gives your hand a squeeze and then stands up. Hello? My name's Arthur. About 10 years ago, I lost my brother. It wasn't purposeful, and it wasn't after any kind of battle. It was an accident. And sometimes I can't help but think it's my fault. He had run out into traffic. I should have been watching him better, and he was struck by a vehicle and killed. He was everything to me. After we'd lost our mom to cancer a little bit earlier than that, he was the only family I had left. And it nearly sent me down a really bad road. For a few years afterwards, I struggled to try and find any sense of purpose, any direction. But I never gave up, because I knew if I gave up, he would never forgive me. whether the accident was my fault or not, he would have wanted me to keep going. He would have wanted me to thrive, not just survive. And even though it felt like there was no point in doing anything anymore, I found a purpose. And with this, he looks over towards Aspen. I found a new family. People who love me and support me and give me purpose. Give me a reason to keep going. And for that, I'm grateful to them, but also grateful to him. Because if he wasn't the amazing, incredible kid that he was, I don't think I would have had his voice in the back of my head telling me to keep going. I don't think I would have had the motivation to hold on. And I might not have had this amazing opportunity to be with these people that I love and care about with my entire heart. Looking around the ring of chairs, you can see some smiles, some teary eyes as people are taking tissues and batting away. And Janice looks towards Artie with extreme focus. A smile on her face, but there's something kind of off about the smile. Aspen, roll me a wits and insight.
Four.
So as you look at Janice, as she's staring at Artie, listening to his story, the smile seems to be more for appearances than anything else. It seems to be kind of like a plastered on smile to just show support, but kind of an empty support to the conversation. Instead, there's something in her eyes that is very calculating, that she's trying to figure something out or put some pieces together from behind her gaze. But as you're watching her, she eventually stands up and says, "That is a lovely story, Arthur, and a great inspiration to everyone here. Yes, in the darkest times, it does seem like we can just surrender to our grief. But we must persist. We must push through. That's what our loved ones would want for us. They may have struggled. They may have succumbed to their own darkness, but the last thing they would want is to take us into that darkness with them. Grief is a process with many stages, but we must see those stages through. Thank you, Arthur." Artie nods his head a couple times and then sits down. She looks over towards you with the same inviting smile, but the same calculating eyes, as if she's sizing you up to a certain degree, feeling out the situation. And you, miss.
Aspen will shoot Artie a look, just like darting her eyes to him and then to her quickly. She'll start to tell her story. Yeah. I recently, about 2 years ago, lost somebody very important to me in an accident, and it was one of the hardest things to go through. But it got me to where I am today, and now I have people to count on who count on me, and it is what it is. And she's kind of not saying or giving the full story or putting any emotion in it. Number one, because it's very uncomfortable for her. She doesn't like talking to strangers about her emotions. And two, this person is suspicious, so she's going to hold her cards close to her chest. So
Well, thank you for sharing with us, Aspen. Of course, this is a process, and we reveal what we are comfortable with as we go. How have you fared since that event?
there's good days and bad days. I think I've made the best of the situation that I can. And I've learned from it, and I've met some really wonderful people in the grieving process.
It's wonderful. Finding those who can walk the path with us, those who can help us carry the loads and burdens of our grief. It's a wonderful thing. She continues to look at you, and as she does so, you suddenly feel this wave kind of passing over the crowd as she stands up, once again putting her hands in front of her and smiling. And you can see some of the individuals nearby just start looking towards her. And I need you to make a composure and intelligence check as you feel a pull trying to draw more of your attention towards her.
Four.
You are able to resist the pull. The others in the room, the others sat with you, aren't so lucky, as they seem to be drawn, their eyes pulling towards her. All of these stories connect us. We all share something in common. We can all carry one another's grief. That being said, if you feel the need to share in more intimate settings, and she reaches into a pocket and pulls out a stack of business cards. I am a therapist, and I do take private consultations. And she starts passing the cards out, and people accept the cards, nodding their heads with extreme approval, almost holding the business card as if it were a gift that was given to them.
Aspen will take one as well.
Just know that you are never alone. There are those that care for you. And there are those that will help you heal this suffering, this loss. All you have to do is call. Thank you, everyone, for gathering here this evening. And I look forward to seeing you all again next time we meet. And with that, you feel that pull, that wave kind of disperse and settle as those that were enraptured by it look towards the business cards and start to stand up from the chairs, still breaking off into smaller groups, some departing immediately. Janice herself stands up and goes to talk to the various groups, shaking hands, offering hugs, sending individuals on their way. Artie looks over towards you. What do you want to do?
Getting far enough away to where it's not obvious, and it just seems like we're having a chat. Do we see what she does next?
Yeah, let's hang out a little bit longer and see if there's anything. What else happens?
Yeah, she seems off.
Yeah, I got real cult leader, Jonestown vibes from her.
Yeah, maybe don't eat the cookies or drink the coffee.
I wasn't gonna eat a damn thing. We think that. Yep. Absolutely. The woman continues to make the rounds, shaking hands, smiling, before making her way over to the two of you. And as she approaches, she offers out her hand to shake.
She reach out, shake it.
Thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate the two of you sharing your stories with us. This is a difficult thing, I know, and it can be unusual to talk to a group of others, but know that these people care, and it is a good group, and they're here to support one another and support you if you'll let them.
We appreciate being invited here and getting to hear other stories, and you're so gracious to listen and to be there for them. So we really appreciate it.
The pleasure is all mine. I experienced loss once as well, and I almost lost myself in a bottle. But thankfully I found someone to help pull me out of it. To give me, and she gestures to Artie, purpose, just like you. And now I can use that purpose to help others who are struggling in the same way I did.
Thank you so much. I did have a question. I don't know if you could tell from the conversation, telling my story. I'm not the most comfortable with my grief. Um, your therapy, is it at an office? Do you make house calls? How does that work?
Well, I seek to accommodate the needs of those that are struggling. I do have an office, certainly, where I take clients who wish to meet in more private or more professional settings. And after a few meetings, as I get to know my client, I am willing to make house calls, yes. Not at first, though. It is a strange world out there.
Of course, of course. I would love to sign up to meet with you more regularly.
Wonderful. Well, you just call my office and we'll set up an appointment.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Do you do these regularly? Are there more intimate ones that you do besides these?
We do have a private support group. It meets a little bit later in the evening, weekly. It is for those who are in need of more intensive therapy, those who need more in-depth discussion. This is sort of an introductory process, but those who feel the need to meet more regularly, we do provide services for them as well.
I think that would be lovely. I really am trying to work through what I've been going through. So I think that's, as much as I'm uncomfortable with it, might be good for me.
Very good. Well, let's start with a consultation, just you and I. This group is very sensitive, and it's hard to let in new members as there is a certain circle of trust that is established amongst them. But after talking with you, I can discuss it with the others, and we can see if we can expand that circle.
That would be wonderful. I would very much appreciate that.
It would be my pleasure. That being said, I do have an appointment I need to get to. But thank you so much for attending this evening. It was truly lovely to meet both of you.
Lovely to meet you too. We won't keep you. Thank you.
Thank you. She steps away and she heads over to an individual, one of the members of the support group, who seems to be standing off to the side, one of the ones who's been a little more quiet throughout this process, very short of words, not really meeting with the others. And as she walks up to him, she says, "Eric, are you ready for our appointment?" And you can see, roll me a wits and awareness.
Could I do wits and insight instead? Okay.
Absolutely. Trying to add some more variety to the rolls, but wits and insight really does fit the best.
Yeah, and wits and awareness is not my forte. 3.
As you watch the man, you see his expression change once again as she approaches. At first, he seems really nervous and kind of uncomfortable, but as she draws near, you see him kind of go doe-eyed and a little slack-jawed again. And she approaches, says, "Eric, it's time." And he just nods and starts to follow after her, almost like a lost puppy, as they make their way out of the building and into the parking lot.
Okay. I do want to see where they go, if they go into a car together, if they're going into a different building, but I want to do it as nonchalant as possible, not necessarily like stealthy, but just very like, I'm not looking at them, this is just what I'm doing.
Okay. Give me either a wits and subterfuge or a manipulation and subterfuge. So let's go with wits and subterfuge, actually, because you are trying to appear nonchalant, but you're also trying to stay very aware of the situation.
3.
Yeah. So trailing behind, trying to leave with some of the others who are making their way out to the parking lot, you do see that they approach a pretty fancy sedan, higher end, a Mercedes class vehicle. They climb into the car, him entering into the passenger seat, her entering to the driver's seat. And the car pulls out and starts to drive away.
Would Artie or I clock the license plate?
Roll me this would be a wits and investigation for sure, to try and catch those details.
3 again.
3 successes. You are able to catch the license plate as it passes by. It's a typical Florida license plate. Nothing unique about it. There doesn't appear to be any vanity license plate on there, but you are able to get the details, which Artie jots down in a note app on his phone. I'll look into it.
Yeah. If you could check the street cameras and see where exactly they go if she takes him to a different location than what's on this card right here.
Yeah, I think I can do that. He opens up his satchel and pulls out a tablet and starts messing with the tablet. We should probably get in the car for this part, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As she's like walking towards the parking lot.
Why don't you drive?
Okay. Yeah.
He does walk over to the driver's side, though, and open the door for you with one hand as he's still busy looking at the tablet with the other hand.
She smiles, rolls her eyes, and gets in the car.
He shuts the door and makes his way around to the other side of the vehicle, opening and climbing inside. As he continues fidgeting with the pad, how do you want to try and start Regina?
I'm going to rub the steering wheel, and then I will pat the dash. I'll be like, "Hey, Regina, I'm driving today apparently, and we're gonna figure this out together." She just pats the steering wheel.
Give me a charisma and persuasion.
Just for funsies, I'm assuming Regina doesn't care that I am beautiful, right?
Regina does not care that you are beautiful. It has
Right.
no effect on her, yeah.
Well, either way, that's a crit +2, so 6.
Without any hesitation, the car or the Jeep rumbles to life. The radio clicks on something about a fast talking, smooth walking individual plays on the radio as the car sparks to life, and you can easily take control of and maneuver the vehicle out of the parking lot. As you drive, it's a very smooth drive. Regina is taking on most of the effort for you so that you don't have to focus too terribly. Where are you headed?
Since I have Artie checking the car, I was going to make a quick stop to the office. So if they're going the same place, then I'm definitely going to stay several cars behind. If they haven't already got too far ahead to where I can't see them, that's totally fine too. But I want to head to that office that's on the card.
Well, it doesn't take much effort to tell based off of the address that the office is in the 100 North Tampa building. And
Perfect.
as the Jeep is rolling down the downtown streets of downtown Tampa, you do see emerging from around the corner, walking, Janice and Eric heading towards the front door of the building.
Okay. I will find a place to park. Not too close to the building, but a place to park. Look over to Artie. So they're in there. Should we leave it alone for now, or do you think, I don't know if you and I are somebody who could just walk right into that building?
Well, especially not you. They know your face.
Exactly.
I think this is what we needed to know. This is what the cult was trying to tell us, is that they're using this. Clearly they're using this support group. But
Okay.
why is the question? For what purpose? Why exploit the grief-stricken?
I don't know. I know it's for food. Through our conversation with the cult, which is why I'm worried, and which is why I asked the question. There's a man going in there, I'm sure, unassuming of what could potentially happen to him.
Yeah, but we don't also know what else is waiting in there. Are we really ready for a fight in this situation, or are we...
Absolutely not. I'm just conflicted.
Me too. I have to hope, as much as I hate it, that this is one of those catch and release situations. They're not going to kill that man. He's got a face that they recognize from the support group. The other members of the group would know if he went missing.
It's true.
I think it's
Okay.
kind of like the plasma bank. That they're just
Right.
going to use the resource for as long as they can. I absolutely hate. And you can see his grip tightening on the tablet in his hands. That they would hurt those that are already hurting.
I agree. We definitely need to do something about it. It's just running into that building is not something you and I are equipped to do at the moment.
Even Ryder wouldn't run into that building. From the sounds of it. And he had a whole sept on his side.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, it's good information to have. We know her office. Maybe we can get in there on one of those appointments.
I
Get
don't
a
even
look
know
on the
if that's a
inside.
good idea. Maybe we should just talk to people a part of the meetings, see what they've seen inside, what they know.
Well, luckily, and he flips over the tablet to show you, and he flips through the photos, and you can see that he took a photo of the contact sheet, the sign-up sheet. We got a little bit of information. Maybe we can find out if anybody's visited with our dear Janice in one of these private sessions before.
Absolutely. Maybe even get a hold of Eric if he's around.
Well, if he's not, then we know even more what they do.
Exactly. Aspen will turn the car back on, just rubbing the steering wheel. Start driving down the road again. Slower this time because she's very conflicted that this innocent person who's already been through so much is wrapped up in everything, and who knows if they're even going to make it out when all is said and done. So she's just driving slowly away.
Roll me a composure and resolve check, as this is really pressing upon your conscience. As this is, you know that, for all you know, Eric is an innocent guy who's getting caught up in the politics of this. In the politics of supernaturals.
2.
2 successes. Okay. Because of that, you're going to take 2 points of superficial willpower damage, as this is a lot harder to drive away from than you expected it to be. Artie also seems to go under some strain as you continue to drive away, paying less attention to the tablet in his hands, but more attention into the rearview mirror that hangs off the side of the Jeep, looking back at the building as it shrinks in the distance as you get further and further away. With that, we'll transition to our next scene, where we see Aiden and Lucas. The two of you were tasked with an important assignment: to scope out a medical transportation company that the plasma bank had been using to transport blood to hospitals and other agencies that make use of it. You were tasked with potentially getting a couple of uniforms or possibly an ID badge, something that could help provide a means of entry into the plasma bank that would arouse less suspicion. So as you have both arrived at the facility, it's a pretty standard industrial complex. There are, auto shops. There are chemical plants where they, do chemistry to mix up pharmaceuticals. There's a whole variety of t-shirt printing buildings. But then there's the medical transport company. And it's, again, a large, long concrete building, sparse with windows, but mostly with these roll-up garage doors, where you can see some of the rolled-up doors. There are these large trucks parked inside that look kind of like ambulances, but not quite ambulances. It's more for the moving of medical supplies from one facility to another. It seems also, based off of initial inspection, that they all have some sort of refrigeration or freezer unit in the back to make sure that anything that would potentially spoil or needed to be climate controlled can be. But the facility is also fenced in, and it looks like the fence has a keypad or a badge swipe to allow the fence gate to roll open for vehicles that are coming and going to make their way in and out. There's barbed wire wrapped along the top of the fence itself, and the fence is probably only about 8 feet high. What time of day would you have wanted to arrive at this particular location?
Probably late afternoon, right around when people would be going home or already left.
Okay. So yeah, considering the time of day, it looks like most of the vehicles that were out on delivery have returned for the evening. A couple of the bays are open. You can see the employees outside talking or having a smoke, just wrapping up the evening. Some of them have clipboards or tablets in their hand where they're working on finishing up whatever paperwork they have. Some of them are heading off to a line of cars that are parked in the parking lot across from it, their personal vehicles that they're most likely going to take with them when they go. The scene is yours.
So how are you wanting to do this? I know we could jump over the fence. Well, you could jump over. I could go through it, but probably don't want to do that right now.
Yeah. You think you could grab one of those guys that's heading out to their car? Maybe 2, maybe 4?
I could try 2. I can try that first. I don't like 2 hands.
That's fair. Okay.
Because we're needing what? We're needing one of the little badge things.
The most amount of stuff possible. So a badge, a couple of badges, a couple of uniforms, and a truck would be the most ideal scenario.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so there's those people sit just over there. Can wait for one of them to head over to one of those cars.
Might have an idea on that. But you're not gonna like it.
All right. What do you have in mind?
Well, I got this baggie, and in this baggie is some crushed up, dried up stuff. And well, if you can find a way to introduce it to them, it will not kill them, but they will most assuredly be big fans of cartoons and colors for maybe the next day and a half, 2 days.
Okay, how am I supposed to get a bag into someone or give to someone?
Well, there's a lot of options there, none of which are good. Um, I do have some needles if you're okay with that. Or it could just be as simple as putting some of it in your hand, walking up to them and blowing it in their face. But don't inhale when you do that.
Okay, all right. So
And
one way I could not get whatever this is, and the other way is I just blow it, which it's gonna look really weird into someone's face, and then they see me. Sure, if you have a needle, I can just poke them, right? That's it.
yeah, just, in a meaty spot,
Like
preferably.
like the butt.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and do your thing, doc. Doctors do needles and stuff, so
That is super not what I am.
you have needles in a weird thing that I'm putting into someone's body. That's what doctors do.
We'll hold off on that until a different conversation. But yeah,
All
all
right.
right.
So
I'll crouch down. Yeah.
you've got a choice of roles here because there's a lot of possibilities. We could do intelligence and craft. We could do intelligence and medicine. We could do intelligence and science or wits and science. What do you think best suits what you're trying to accomplish here? Because I'm guessing you're trying to mix up a nice syringe of this particular plant that you are putting together.
Yeah, let's go with intelligence and craft because I have my specialty in poisons.
Perfect. That sounds great. So yeah,
Sure.
intelligence and craft poisons as you crumble up the plant, breaking it down into its base form, maybe using a bit of IV fluid or liquid to turn it into a paste or into a syringe worth of this poisonous fluid, this drugged fluid.
5 successes.
5 successes. So almost as if you've done this way more times before than you're willing to admit to anyone, you are able to quickly put together this concoction, maybe stirring it up with a mortar and pestle, adding in some of the fluid, making a nice, really watered down paste, and then taking the needle and filling it up to pretty much the precise amount that you know that it won't be lethal. And if they are able to get it all in, if Aiden is able to successfully inject this all in, it will take them out for a good 2 days. It's going to be a solid trip for 2 days for whoever gets any of this in their system.
All right, I'll cap it, hand it to him. So just take the cap off, in, press. And you can do that with one-handed. You can in, press.
All right, cool. Oh, just a second. He's gonna pull out his phone. He's going to text Aspen real quick. We gotta, yeah. We are at the place. We are about to do the job.
Okay.
Anything else you want me to put in there?
No, I think that's
I think that covered it.
That's exactly what I want you to say. Perfect amount. Yes.
Cool.
Cool.
All right, so cap, push, press.
Yes. Perfect.
All right. At that point, he will hop out of the car and pick a random vehicle that no one's at currently, and then crouch down and wait for them to show up.
All right. Give me a dexterity and stealth as you try to move into a position near one of the vehicles as darkness is starting to take hold slowly but surely. It's still summer, so the nights go a little bit later, but you try to find a nice patch where you can hide, at least obscure yourself to the best of your ability behind a vehicle.
3
successes. Hunkering down by one of the cars, you wait patiently, cautiously, holding this syringe in your hand. It doesn't smell great. It smells pretty foul, in fact, as you're holding it, trying to be as aware of the pokey end as possible, trying to keep it away from yourself and not fumble with it too much or fiddle with it too much. Lucas, roll me a wits and awareness.
Six successes.
You see the group of individuals that are chatting by the garage door, the open garage door, chatting for a little bit longer before one of them starts to walk away, raising up a hand, saying farewell to his co-workers before making his way over towards the ID badge gate that gets into the facility proper. He waves the badge over the panel and the gate starts to open, the grinding of the wheels as this large chain link fence starts to part, the gate slowly pulling open. The man, easily in his mid-20s, obviously not his full-time job or not his biggest interest, as you can see tattooed sleeves tucking out from beneath the rolled up sleeves of this work shirt, partially unbuttoned. He starts making his way over towards the vehicle that you saw Aiden hunker down behind. Aiden, you can hear the footfalls as you stay as still as possible, moving towards the vehicle. What would you like to do?
Going to wait for him to go to his door, and then wait till his back is partially to him, and then sneak up behind him and then inject.
Okay. So as the man approaches this run-down, beaten-up sedan, he fishes into his pocket and pulls out a set of keys and starts rifling. You can hear the jingling of the keys. With your stealth check, you are able to move and maneuver up behind him. Roll me a strength and brawl as you're going to grab him and attempt to inject.
Would this be grappling as well?
This would be grappling, yes.
Sweet. Seven.
Very quick, very easy. Like lightning, you move until you have an arm kind of wrapped around the front of him on his shoulders. Now you are going to inject the concoction that Lucas made into him. I need you to make a wits and medicine check.
Yep, I can do that.
Being one who has not used syringes a great deal in their life, being a lupus born, this is going to be a task for you. It's a pretty simple, he made it sound really simple. Stick, push. But where you stick and how hard you push These are important things to take into consideration. How quickly you inject. It's not a matter of like shoving it all at once. You got to feed it in.
2.
2 successes. Okay, grabbing the needle, you jam it into the butt, the most fleshy tissue that you can find, just kind of right in the behind there, and start to sink the plunger in. The man lets out kind of a grunt of surprise and just a, what the? And you stick the needle in, and push
Sleepy
down
time.
the plunger. And after, what the hell am I? What? Whoa.
You're supposed to be seeing colors, and you're supposed to be going on a trip, I believe is the term. I'm going to take that, and he's going to grab the badge, and then start taking off his outfit.
Okay, so as you kind of cradle the man down to the ground, who has almost become limp like jelly in your arms, you slowly lower him down to the pavement right next to the vehicle and start unbuttoning the work shirt, pulling off the belt and tugging down the slacks. Do you take his shoes? It looks like they're pretty much
Yep.
standard dress shoes. So you
He's
pull off
taking,
the shoes.
Yep.
Okay.
When he's completely stripped, he's going to open up the back door to the car and gently lay him down inside and give him a pat on the head and close the door.
So after stripping him down, you pick him up, open up the back door, which is unlocked. It seems like you managed to get the car unlocked before you sprung, and slide him into the back seat. And as he hits the cloth fabric of the back seat, he just starts, his eyes go wide, and he starts patting the back seat and then the seat in front of him. Very nervously at first, but then so enthusiastically as he starts rubbing the fabric of the seat coverings carefully. You have acquired 1 badge and 1 uniform. What is your next course of action?
Can I see what his name is on the badge?
Sure. Looking over the badge, you see his name is Reggie.
All right, Reggie, you have a fun
Harris.
trip. You have a great trip in here. I'm going to shut this door. I don't know where you're going, but you have fun, okay? I'm going to shut the door and head back to the
Thanks,
truck.
Santa.
I don't know who that is.
So closing the door, where are you headed to next?
Heading back to the truck. He's taken the clothing and stuff and just like shoved them in his vest and like walking over to the truck, trying to act as inconspicuous as possible.
Okay, give me a manipulation and subterfuge, or composure and subterfuge roll as you try to keep your cool, do your, everything's fine walk, even though you've just assaulted a man, drugged him, and then stripped him naked and left him in the backseat of a car.
2.
2 successes. Lucas, watching Aiden move away from the vehicle, he is doing a like, hello, I am a professional. I am here. I am supposed to be here. And he is walking very rigidly and very awkwardly across the parking lot in your general direction.
I'm just gonna.
He'll kind of like hurry up a little bit, open the door, like, I don't know where I was supposed to send him for the thing, but he's feeling up the back seat of his car right now. But he'll pull out shirt, pants, boots. Reggie Harris.
Reggie's gonna have a good time, man. Don't worry about Reggie. Reggie might have a issue come tomorrow for work, but that's Reggie's problem. That's not our problem.
Yeah. I don't think his boots are gonna fit me though. He got tiny feet.
He took his boots.
Yeah, you said we got the outfit.
But yeah, I did. Okay, I did.
Yeah, because Halloween a few years ago, Aspen got me certain boots for dressing up like that one toy cowboy guy, and I couldn't wear my regular boots, so I had to get different boots.
Woody?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, someone poisoned the watering hole.
Hope not.
It's as a metaphor. Do you think that You think we can use that badge to snag a truck?
Probably. I don't know if the keys are gonna be around. Can you do um the wire thing?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, I can't drive though.
Oh,
So
we
we'd
have
have
2 cars. That's
like I
problematic.
can, but like whatever vehicle I'm taking care of will not end up well.
Okay. Um, like how bad?
Like I've driven never.
That's bad. Um, shit. Okay, let's head around the corner, find a parking garage, and park this car. I'll change into the uniform. We'll come back on foot. I'll try to get in there. But we'll see what happens.
I like it.
Because I saw him use the badge to come in and out, so if I could get a truck running, I could get a truck.
Yeah, no, that sounds easy enough.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
There's not really a parking garage per se, as this is an industrial complex, but there are lots of open parking lots, especially near many of these big concrete factory style buildings. And based off of the fact that it is just an open industrial complex, cars probably get left overnight all the time. People work night shifts. It's not too hard to find a place to park that your vehicle would probably go otherwise unnoticed or undisturbed. You did see that there is a basically like cop for hire security group that comes through, but unless someone's actively breaking into a vehicle or causing some kind of disturbance, it's very unlikely they're going to notice a different vehicle in the parking lot. They're there really as a deterrent more than anything else. So finding a parking spot near one of these t-shirt printing companies, you climb out of the car and both of you start making your way back towards the medical transport building on foot. As you approach, you see the same fence, same barbed wire. You can see a few more cars have departed, although the vehicle that you stashed poor drugged up Reggie in is still there. And this time you can see feet held up in the air, pressed against the roof of the car, walking as if they're, or like tracing across the roof of the car as if they're trying to run on the roof of the car.
He
He's
thinks
good.
he's going somewhere.
Oh, he is. Ooh, boy, is he. He's that was in case you're wondering, that was a plant called Datura. It's a member of the nightshade family. In large amounts, it's toxic, but in small amounts, it's a good time.
Is that like the like a peyote like thing?
Yeah, same psychoactive family, but not the same plant. So yeah,
I had to learn about some different drugs. Had a whole thing I had to watch. It was stupid.
why did you watch that?
Apparently, I took a piece of paper that had this little gel thing on it, and I'm not supposed to be doing that. So I had to learn about what drugs are.
Did Aspen make you watch it?
Yep.
Yeah, nothing about that surprises me. Okay, well, yeah, basically the same thing, but this is it's all natural, so it's fine.
Oh, so there's no harm to it. Cool. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Lucas, you changed into the uniform before departing the truck, leaving your own clothes on the seat or on the cab of the truck before making your way over. What would you like to do?
I'm going to approach the gate, the same one that he came out of, and just I'm sure it's on some kind of like stretchy lanyard. Just hold it up
Absolutely.
to it.
Yeah, it's got
Hold
like
it
one
up
of
to
those
it.
zip lanyards that you can just extend and destend. Yeah,
Mhm.
so as you walk up and hold the badge out over the scan pad, the gate starts to grind and roll open.
I will casually kind of head towards the trucks. Are there any? Is there like a maybe like a small like a shed or something that would be like where they put all the stuff they care for the trucks in. Maybe the keys would be at.
So it's kind of like a big, long, rectangular concrete building. There is what appears to be some windowed offices, maybe a dispatch office. Off to one side, there are these standard access doors that allow you into the garage. There doesn't appear to be a shed or anything, but if there were to be keys or supplies, they'd probably be in the garage proper. And you see that there are two doors on either end of these various bay doors that will let you into the garage itself. There is one of the bay doors open at the moment, though, and you can see one of the trucks is parked inside. The lights on the garage are open, which spill out into the parking lot, the lights spilling out as it grows darker and darker in the sky.
I'll quietly head over to the open one that's in the bay.
Okay, give me a dexterity and stealth as you make your way across the parking lot, trying to use the shadow as your friend, but also trying not to appear too out of place or too mischievous in your movements.
Three successes.
Okay. As you slip your way closer to the bay door, you find your back pressed up against the concrete that separates the various bays. Nobody seems to have noticed your approach, but you do hear a couple of voices talking inside.
Can I see like a panel on a wall that's got like the little hooks where all the keys might be hanging anywhere?
Roll me a wits and investigation.
Three successes.
Okay. Looking towards the wall along the side of the building that the trucks are parked in front of, you don't spot any kind of box or panel or anything that would hold keys at the moment.
All right, I will head a bit more into the building, but I'm gonna like start to act like I'm just very angry, like I'm left something behind, kind of muttering to myself, and I'm looking for it.
Give me a manipulation and subterfuge.
Can I do manipulation and intimidation? Because I don't want anybody coming over to talk to me. I'm trying to like project an aura of like,
Yeah,
oh shit, he's angry.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
Four successes.
As you walk into the garage proper, grumbling to yourself, a little bit of stamping of the feet as you're making your way in, really trying to project an aura of anger, you see that there are two of the other drivers or transport employees off to one side, talking, looking over some sheets, possibly looking over the next day's deliveries. And as they go to look up at you as you make your way in, with the grumbling and noise that you're making, they quickly divert their attention back to the clipboard, not even trying to seem like they recognize your arrival or look any further into the situation.
All right, keeping that up, I'm just going to continue to try to look for something that might have keys. If I don't see anything, then I'm just going to abandon that.
So there is a set of double doors that seem to enter into the building proper, most likely where the break room is, the dispatch offices are. You see several cleaning supplies in like a big metal cabinet. It does look like there is a hose that is hooked up in the garage that could be pulled out to spray down some of the vehicles if necessary. There is a rack or set of shelves that has windshield washer fluid, bottles on it, little bottles of oil for changing the oil in the trucks if necessary. The basic maintenance and upkeep. There are a stack of spare tires off to one side. You don't see any boxes for keys or anything, though.
All right, I'll head towards the double doors, but on my way past, I'm going to grab one of those bottles of oil and just kind of hold it in my hand.
Okay. Grabbing the oil, you make your way into the building proper. You see the two employees, again, almost like out of the corner of their eye, look over towards you, but then just keep conversing over the clipboard very intently, like, oh, yes, this is very important work we're supposed to be doing. Yes. As you pass into the double doors, there's no resistance. The doors aren't locked. You pull them open. You see a hallway that goes down in front of you. It looks like there is a dispatch office to the right where you can hear someone talking on the phone on the other side of a door. To the left, it looks like there's a break room. The door is actually propped open, and as you look inside, there are several lockers. There's a folding table set up. You can see a couple of empty cans of soda on the table itself, an overflowing trash can that looks like it needs to be changed, a refrigerator against one wall, several counters and cupboards. One cupboard is open and there's a bunch of mismatched coffee mugs inside, a coffee maker sitting on the counter itself. If you were to continue forward, it looks like it would lead to more of the administrative offices of this particular building if you were to continue forward.
I want to look through. I'm going to open a couple of the lockers to see if I see another shirt. At a minimum, another shirt, maybe hat and pants.
Give me a wits and larceny check as you're going to try to poke through these lockers and see if you can get another uniform.
2 successes.
You go through some of the lockers. A couple of them are empty. A couple of them have padlocks or combination locks that would take far too long to jimmy open. But luckily enough, you get to one of the lockers, and as you pop it open, you do see that there is a uniform that's kind of crumpled up inside of the locker, as looks like it's been discarded, and it's definitely in need of a wash. There is a very strong odor of body odor coming off of this particular uniform that is just haphazardly crumpled at the bottom of the locker, but you do find a second uniform. There's no shoes with it, just the shirt and pants and a hat that goes with it.
I'm gonna grab that set and look for a grocery bag or something that might be laying around and put
Sure,
that
you
in
can find
there.
an empty plastic bag probably shoved under the sink in the break room, that somebody most likely discarded under there for future use if they needed to pack something up and take it with them.
All right, I'll turn back around. I'm not gonna head deeper into those offices. That's gonna risk too much, and head back out to the garage, and then head back out into the parking lot.
Okay.
I'm gonna find the closest truck to the gate
Okay.
and head towards that.
All right. You approach the truck. It is parked in one of the parking spots. It's like overflow parking. The garage itself is more for maintenance, bringing the trucks in to work on them or clean them up before sending them out again, maybe to load them with certain supplies or to just stow them overnight. But you do find one of the other trucks parked near the gate.
Is it unlocked?
You go to check the handle, and as you pull on it, it pops open.
All right, I'm gonna hop in and first look for the keys. If I can't find keys, then I'm gonna try to start hotwiring it.
Give me another wits and investigation.
I'm gonna spend a willpower on that. Three successes.
You check up above in the visor, pulling the visor down, no keys. Check the other visor, no keys. Check in the sideboards, and then you go to check in the dashboard. And popping open the glove box. As soon as the glove box topples open, you hear the jingle of keys inside.
Let's go. All right. I'm gonna start it up and start heading out.
Okay, driving towards the front gate, you roll down the window, wave over the badge on the keypad, The gate starts to roll open. Roll me a wits and awareness as you look in the rear view to see if anybody's noticed what you're up to.
Four successes.
Looking back in the rear view, you see one of the men that was clearly in the garage standing in the bay door, but after a moment they just reach up and push a switch and the bay door starts to close. They don't seem to have taken any notice of what you're doing or care as to what you're doing as you roll out through the opening gate and drive out into the parking lot beyond.
I will slow down as I get to where Aiden is and wait for him to hop in.
He'll go and get in the door like, huh, you did it.
I'll toss him the bag. I got another uniform too.
Why does it smell funny?
I have no idea.
It's like ketchup and onions.
Like a little Worcestershire sauce in there too. It's very
It's not good.
strong. No, it's not. We're gonna need to watch that or not.
I'll give it to someone else.
Yeah.
So we got 2 uniforms, badges, or do we only got the 1 badge?
Got the 1 badge, the 2 uniforms, and now a truck.
I'd say it's pretty good. Did you?
Yeah.
Was there anything else that we needed?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Why don't you toss the boss lady a text and let her know what we got?
Okay. All right. He'll pull out his phone and let her know, like, got a truck. We have 2 uniforms, 1 badge.
After a few moments, you get a return text, this one coming from Artie, that says, bring the badge by the apartment. I'll see if I can mock up a dummy duplicate.
Anything else we need while we're here?
Probably a shower, a shave, maybe 6-pack of beer because I'm going to be doing this for you.
Hey, Lucas, Artie wants you to buy him beer.
That's a fair trade.
Okay. We have to go to their apartment. He's gonna, with the badge though, he's gonna do his thing. I don't know how to explain it.
Fair. Okay. Let's head out and then at some point we'll come pick my truck up.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So you roll off into the night with your newly acquired vehicle, a couple of uniforms, and a badge. It's enough for a good cover story. The question is, are you going to be able to use it effectively when you reach the plasma plant? That we'll have to wait and see. But now we're going to transition to Jester. Jester, Charles has been around for a few weeks now. The meetings that you've had with him have been brief, usually at pack meetings or when passing by Aspen. And you haven't really gotten a good feel for him other than he's probably got one of the shiniest sticks up his ass that you've ever seen. Which, with your Black Fury sensibilities, definitely sends a couple of nervous ticks up your spine. But now you've decided to confront the situation head on, to try and feel him out, to see what his intentions are. How would you want to go about doing that? How would you try to approach Charles?
Jester would have sent a, probably through Aspen, a invite to meet at the cairn one afternoon before the mission.
Okay. So we'll say it's the day before, or even the same day, honestly, that the mission is to take place. You get there a little bit earlier, hoping to meet with him before the others arrive, before you go to investigate and possibly take out this plasma plant, this plasma office clinic that you're going to. So when you get to the cairn on your motorcycle pulling into the parking lot, you see that the luxury sedan that Charles drives is already there. And he is standing outside of the vehicle, leaned up against the driver's side, busily texting away on a cell phone as you pull up. But as soon as he notices the motorcycle pulling into the parking spot, he finishes his text and stows his phone away, folding his hands in front of him. As you kill the engine to the bike, he pushes off of the driver's side, reaches up and removes sunglasses, folding them up and putting them in his suit pocket. Miss Bennett,
Early.
I'm never late.
Of course you're not. Come on. I'll start walking towards one of the supply sheds.
He falls in, keeping pace with you, but staying maybe one stride's length behind you so that he's not side by side, but is following behind. You wish to talk to me?
I did. I had some questions.
Very well.
But first, once we get to the shed, I'm going to pull out a bag of special mulch. Here, carry this.
He raises an eyebrow as he looks at the bag. Can I ask what it's for?
Grandmother Willow.
I see. He pulls off his suit jacket, folding it over one arm, while with the other arm scooping up the bag of mulch and putting it under his arm, tucked in his armpit.
I'll grab 2 trowels and we're going to head out that way over to Grandmother Willow.
Despite being a large 50-pound bag of mulch, he doesn't even seem exerted in the slightest as he carries it, as if he had just taken a pillow under his arm and was just walking lightly with it, keeping the same even, calculated strides that he normally walks with. You have an interesting interrogation technique, Miss Bennett.
I suppose so.
Why don't you start asking your questions? We
Okay.
have a task to complete tonight, and I'd rather not be distracted.
You said you were assigned here. I guess to serve as, what, Aspen's assistant? Butler?
Roll me a wits and insight check.
Two successes.
You definitely feel a slight tension in the air as you say butler, as he stiffens slightly in his posture before taking a deep breath, steadying himself. I am here as a representative and advisor from Mr. Morningkill. But if Miss Weiss has certain tasks that I am able to assist with, I do so.
You always follow orders?
Depends on who's giving the orders.
Oh, don't look at me. When would I give orders?
Do you?
Don't you know the backstory of that?
I know what you've done.
Then you know the answer to that question.
To determine what you're going to do. Did you learn your lesson, or do you need another one?
You planning on teaching me a lesson?
Depends on if Miss Weiss's lesson stuck or not.
That particular lesson has been sticking around for months.
Then there shouldn't be any need.
So, do you follow orders because you're told to follow them, or because you believe in them?
It's a case-by-case basis.
I'll hand him a trowel.
Just because I don't agree with some of the orders I've been given doesn't mean it isn't the right one.
So, if you were ordered to leave, to abandon this place, you'd do it.
Depends on who's giving the order.
Considering you were ordered to come out here by morning kill, I assume it'd be him. I don't think Aspen would order it.
If Mr. Morningkill believes I'm of more use elsewhere, then that is where I will go.
Good to know. Hold out my hands for the mulch.
He takes the bag from under his arm and extends it out. And as he does so, you see his hand clench on the top of the mulch bag, and the mulch bag rips underneath his grip. And he pries open the top, but still holds out the bag to you.
Take it. You know, I'll start spreading around. The nation pretty much abandoned this place before, when the Sept was still here. And it wasn't just leeches that were here. It was black spiral dancers too. We need people we can trust and depend on here. Not just people that follow orders.
Do you believe I'm not capable of assisting your Sept?
Oh, I'm sure quite capable of assisting. I'm just not sure if I can trust you to actually be there when we need it.
Do you not trust in the nation? The nation is a large and vast place, Miss Bennett. It is not just Tampa. You're not the only one experiencing struggles. You're not the only one fighting the fight. Neither were those who came before you.
It's also true. Spoken like someone at the top who forgets about the people at the bottom.
Gaia chose each and every one of us to fight her fight. Gaia trusted us with her gifts. If there are those at the bottom, it's only because they were unworthy of those gifts.
You believe we're that different from other governmental systems? We barely even are connected cairn by cairn.
That's something we're hoping to resolve.
So
You're
you
right,
admit
the nation has been flawed. Mistakes were made. I don't know a great deal about the history of this place, but what I do know was that it was a missed opportunity for unity. That is a mistake Mr. Morningkill is hoping to rectify, to unite the nation. That is why I am here. The cairns should be connected. That trust that you don't currently have in me, I hope I will earn by my presence. Because you're right. The nation has been fractured, broken, for quite some time. We are trying to fix it. So whether you trust me or not is irrelevant. I will do what needs to be done for the good of the nation, for the good of this sept, for the good of this city.
And you believe that? Not Morningkill? Not just Morningkill? You believe it?
I believe this place has potential, but I believe it has its fair share of problems as well. We have to be able to confront the servants of the worm in all spaces, including this one. But we have to be sure that we have those that are capable of confronting those threats in those spaces. Do you believe you're capable, Miss Bennett?
Not yet. But I plan on being.
And what if you don't have the time?
I suppose I die.
And you would subject those who have put their faith in you to that philosophy?
I'm doing everything in my power to be capable of doing it.
I appreciate your humility. You are very humble about your abilities. But now's not the time to be humble. You either can do it or you can't do it. And if you can't do it, you should walk away and let those who can do the job for you. Don't tell me you're trying to be able to. Tell me you're going to be able to. Because if you are just going to die, That's a liability none of us can afford. Your leader worries about you, cares about you as they should, but they are going to have to step over your body and keep marching forward. And I'm not quite sure your leader is at that point yet. So don't give them a body to step over.
Do you know how to use a clave?
I don't need to.
That's not helpful to me. See, I have this clave I'm learning to wield, and I can use all the training I can get. And while while they were coming to get me at the other care, you and Aiden were missing, and Aiden was licking some wounds for a few days. So was that from you?
That was from him.
I don't think he beat his own ass.
I beg to disagree. As a clave wielder, it is very unlikely you are going to fight other clave wielders. So whether or not I know how to use a clave, you're going to have to learn to beat me regardless.
You willing to train me?
Are you willing to learn?
Yes.
Or are you going to resign yourself to the fate of dying if you're not good enough?
No, I'm willing to learn.
Then yes. But
Okay.
you have to understand, I'm not just here to advise, I'm here to remove any weak links. I almost had to remove one. I'm not afraid to remove another, if necessary.
Good to know.
He takes the trowel, kneels down beside the tree, looking up at it for a moment before beginning to spread the mulch out around the base of the tree. Roll me a wits and insight check. As you can see, his expression is stoic, but his eyes are betraying a different kind of emotion.
3 successes.
There was something in the way he said what he said, especially at the end there about removing weak links, that felt rehearsed. That felt almost robotic in the way that he said it. And as you're looking at him as he's spreading the mulch, you can see some conflict in him as he tries his best to mask it, but your discerning eye is able to pierce through to tell that he didn't like what he said, and he doesn't like what he might have to do. Like, that isn't his choice.
Tuck that away for later. I will start spreading around the mulch and then whispering to Grandmother Willow. This is a special blend we found, Chloe and I. I can't hear you right now, but you could always let Eliza know if this works or not. If it doesn't, we'll find you something better.
There isn't any response, but you do see that while you were whispering, Charles paused for a moment. And then after you stopped speaking, he continued working, as if his ears had pricked up at what you had said. And looking over him now, you see the faintest, still using your previous insight check, bit of a smile, a curled up corner of his mouth as he continues to spread the mulch. You work quietly, but in unison for a while longer, both of you spreading the mulch around the base of the tree in organized patterns, Charles even moving after you to straighten up the lines a little bit more to make sure that things are spread out a little bit more evenly. And that's where the scene will come to a close, and we'll go to a quick 5-minute break. When we return, the rest of the pack will join Jester and Charles at the SAP, making their final plan of attack before heading over to the plasma clinic.
St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaboration with our partnered vendors, Wolfpack Dice, Ember Fox Dice, Dragon Ink Dice, Barrett the Bard, Champs Tramps, Panchi Artista, and Chromatic Creations. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stpetbynight.com. The official theme song for St. Petersburg by Night is Vampire by Faith and Failure. You can find them at faithandfailure.com. You can follow SPbN on all socials with the hashtag StPeteByNight. If you wish to support our program, you can do so at ko-fi.com/StPeteByNight to help keep the stories rolling.
And welcome back. In the first half, a little bit of supply gathering was done by Aiden and Lucas. An important conversation or interrogation between Jester and Charles took place, and Aspen and Artie may have gotten a lead on an important source of food to some of the higher-ups within the Camarilla court. Now, it is the early evening, late afternoon, the day that you've all decided to meet and get together to enact your plan against the plasma clinic. Lucas and Aiden have gathered 2 uniforms, an ID badge, and a truck used from the medical supply delivery company that transports the plasma from the clinic to the hospitals that need it, as well as to other sources that may need it for different purposes. Aspen, you and Artie arrive. Lucas, you and Aiden arrive at the Sept cairn to find Charles and Jester waiting you in the parking lot. Charles has his button-up shirt slightly undone, his suit jacket folded over his arm, and the sleeves rolled up to just above the elbow. There is a slight sheen of sweat on both of them, as if they had been working, and you can see from their hands that they must have been working on some gardening or maybe some lawn keeping work, as there's a little bit of dirt around their palms. You can see some gardening tools and an empty bag of mulch are folded up by the side of the parking lot, ready to be disposed of in a nearby dumpster as you pull in. And the scene is yours.
I'll park the truck and hop out. I'll glance over at Charles, kind of give him a once over. You put the suit in sport mode there, Wonder Bread?
Just tending to some weeds that need removal. Need to keep the place looking nice for the spirits.
Not all weeds are weeds.
And some are most certainly weeds.
Yeah, but weeds have the best effects.
Artie cuts in. Are we here to talk herbology, or are we here to, make veiled threats? What's the meaning of this?
Well, fun fact, as he brings in the bags, dandelions are actually really good for your heart.
That is a fun fact. Thanks, Aiden.
Yeah.
It's good to know, Aiden. Thank you.
I actually just learned that. Lucas told me, so I can't take full credit.
Good
Well,
to
good
know.
job remembering.
Let's move inside and let's talk, because we have some really important things to do today. She'll
Charles.
walk and turn everybody inside.
Charles scoops up the empty bag of mulch and actually picks up both trowels, Jester, as he starts to carry them back to the supply shed, stopping by the dumpster to dispose of the bag before returning the trowels to the shed that they come from. And you all make your way into the meeting area, the grand hall, a repurposed space that doesn't have the fineries yet, but is slowly improving over time. Charles rolls down his sleeves and returns his suit jacket before buttoning up his shirt again. Everybody takes their place at the table.
Okay. So, Aiden, Lucas, first off, why don't you tell us what you found?
Well, the building itself is that we took this truck from, the big rectangle rock. Got the truck. We have 2 uniforms, 1 badge. We did end up having to leave Lucas's truck there, so at some point we will need to go back and get that, though. But overall, went off pretty well. I don't think anything really went out of the ordinary.
I was able to make up dummy badge. It's enough to pass as an ID badge, but it's not going to be able to scan anything. It doesn't have the right ability to open any official entrances, but it should pass initial inspection as a typical ID badge. So who wants to be Reggie and who wants to be Demetrius?
Well, personally, I think one of them should go to Jester, since Jester is the talker. So if there's any...
Hang on. He puts down the badge and starts scrubbing and, like, altering the badge. Desdemona.
It's a good name.
I'll hold up my hand.
He pastes over a picture of Jester and relaminates it before passing it to her.
Aspen, you gonna take Reggie?
I could. I was thinking either you, Aiden, or Charles should take the other. I was thinking probably you, Lucas.
Yeah, I could take it. Yeah, as long as I'm with Jester.
Point of order to ST, real quick.
Yes.
We were doing the scouting. Was there a back door?
There is the delivery door in the back that has kind of a security door next to it that goes in where all of the supplies are moved, or the coolers are moved into the truck from the back. That is the only real back entrance. The front entrance is a windowed kind of foyer or waiting room entrance area where the patients will come in, but the back door would be where the employees and the deliveries are picked up, yes.
I think having you, Jester, and you, Lucas, driving the truck would make the most sense. You can have Jester's back. She can make sure that nothing inappropriate is said that could get us into trouble. And I could have Charles, Aiden, and I in the back of the van. Also Artie. So Artie can keep point in the van if that's what you would like to do, Artie.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll just stay plugged into any police scanners or anything for the area. If anything goes amiss, I can probably reroute things for at least a few minutes, enough time for a getaway.
What are we bringing with us, tools-wise?
Is that a request to bring a clave, or can you be more specific?
No, if we're going there to disrupt, we should probably bring the tools of the trade we need to disrupt. Bolt cutters, sawzall, a couple of gallons of gasoline. You know, just the basics.
I have a hatchet.
Yeah, stuff like that.
That would be more of yours and Aiden's area of expertise. Also, we have tooth and claw, so do we really need bolt cutters in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, you don't want to swipe your hand at a power cable. Trust me.
I don't think you really want to take anything to a power cable, but
Fair.
you know, we're pretty resilient, so the less suspicious things we have within the vehicle, the better. But I do see your sentiment. So do we think that there's pertinent tools we need to bring?
I think maybe getting in, like if nothing against you, Artie, but if something were to come up where we can't get through the doors, us ripping the door apart's gonna look kind of off. Bolt cutters be able to get through, or even a screwdriver to get into the little button pad thing. Because then Artie might be able to do something from that point if he can't actually get into it.
Well, it looks like we've got a couple of possibilities. I mean, if we're trying to force our way in, sure, but if we're trying to make this look like a legitimate pickup, they should just let us in, don't you think? I mean, it seems like we're going to get immediate access that way. If there's any reason we don't, you know, the more persuasive one of us, and he shoots Jester a wink, can probably talk their way in at the very least. And then once we're inside, what's the end goal here? I know that we're supposed to recover something for our contact. Are we just wrecking the place? Are we emptying it out? Are we redistributing what we find in there? Like what's the end goal?
There's a few ways.
Redistributions. Go ahead.
No, you go. I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Redistribution is not a bad idea. There's got to be somebody out there that can use this stuff more than as a midnight snack. So maybe load up the truck with as much as we can carry. As to where it goes after that, I don't really have any idea about what to do there.
But wasn't Artie looking up the places where the blood's being sent off to, and he found a place. We were just gonna pick up that one and then make sure everything else was redistributed. Is that how that was gonna go?
Sure.
Fortunately, we don't know. It's never said or indicated what's going where.
Yeah, but I thought he was looking that up, and then he got all upset and broke his laptop.
Yeah, they had some really good security protocols, better than a place like this should have. And I haven't really pursued any other leads since.
Okay.
Didn't want to tip off what we were looking at. They could have just written it off as just some hacker snooping around that went down the wrong pipeline, so to speak. But I couldn't get into the direct manifests or any of the internal documentation, just very surface level stuff. And when I tried to go any deeper, something was waiting. Something kicked on.
Okay.
Is everything okay with that?
Should be. I think I destroyed everything and disposed of it quick enough, but that's another reason I didn't poke my head out or go looking again, is I did not want to risk potentially giving another lead to them.
So they shouldn't be able to trace you like before?
No, I've got a lot of protocols in place to redirect all across the world. I just knew I had a time limit. Even the best hacker can find their way through. Anyone with enough security expertise can track down VPNs pretty quickly, and I knew I was on a stop clock. So I think I got it done in time, that they weren't able to route back before the connection cut off.
Okay.
Well, that is a question. Artie, you're far more inclined with technology than I am. If you were to get into their database within the facility, would that make it easier?
It could. I'd need to get access to their database directly. I couldn't go in remotely because that's where I got caught, was trying to access it remotely. They must have some sort of passkey or failsafe. If I was in the building and had access to one of the terminals, I could get that information more directly. The other thing we have to consider, though, is even if we do take out whatever their next supply is, if the facility is still open, if it's still standing, they'll just resupply. They'll just wait and stock up again. I mean, starving them out is more of a long-term process. It needs to be more permanent solutions, not temporary hiccups. It'll piss them off, but it won't starve them out unless we shut it down entirely.
Artie, how flexible are you?
Physically?
Yeah.
I don't know. How flexible am I, Aspen?
I guess that's fair. You guys are spending time together. How flexible is he? Do you guys stretch a lot?
Yep, lots of yoga, Pilates, the whole works.
Good.
I'm okay. I'm pretty good. It's not my
Well,
forte, but I prefer flexibility over strength.
well, in the back of the truck, the boxes that they transport everything in, you might be able to fit. And if we're doing the order like a pickup, you in the box, they wheel you in, you go do your thing, and then Jester and Lucas can do their thing, and then Aspen, Charles, and I stand outside for just in case.
It's not a terrible idea. If we go end of shift when a good majority of the employees have gone home, if we can talk our way in and temporarily take the employees out of commission, yeah, that would buy me the time I'd need. If the clinic was full staffed, I think it'd be a lot harder to do. But since we're planning this for the end of the day, yeah, if you guys can keep them out of the way long enough, I should be able to get in. Yeah.
Well, to keep face, should Charles and I do the apprehension of people, or do we want to keep the people in the uniforms doing that?
I think once we get in, that's something you and Charles could work on while Artie gets some things done. I do also believe that, like Artie said, it needs to be more of a permanent thing when we leave this facility. So whatever we can do to, I don't want to cause too many eyes, because that didn't go well last time. But if we could condemn the building in such a way that it wouldn't be able to be used, that could give us the in we need.
I might have a way or an idea if Aiden or Charles can take out the generator, the backup generator that's going to kick on when the power goes out, because they need to keep this stuff preserved as best as possible. If we can kill the generator, then kill the power on our way out, leave the refrigeration units open, it should spoil anything that's inside pretty quickly. I mean, considering the Florida heat and everything like that, even overnight, it's almost 80 degrees. That place is going to cook, and it is going to spoil whatever's left. If we kill their entire stock, that would take a while to resupply. Taking out whatever small batch they have for the leeches, they can probably get that restocked pretty quickly. But if we can take out all of the supply, they won't be able to shift inventory around to keep the leeches happy. I mean, they're going to take away from the hospitals before they take away from the leeches.
Backup generator is probably runs on gas or diesel, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we take a couple of gallons of bleach and sugar with us, dump it into the fuel supply, and maybe it doesn't happen tonight, maybe it doesn't happen tomorrow night, but eventually that's going to rip through that engine.
We probably need something a little more immediate than that. Because even if the backup generator goes down, eventually they'll have the power back on by then. And then they'll just replace the generator. We need to cut the power and kill the generator tonight to buy us the time. As far as the employees, that's another issue entirely. Yeah, we could act quick, but if they see faces, if they have any recollection of what happens, they're gonna tell somebody.
I'll just keep their attention on me. Speaking of which, do we have any fake paperwork? Because they're going to ask for it.
Well, I prepped some dummy documents, manifests from previous manifests that the company have used. Do they have their own manifest paperwork? It won't match anything that the facility has, but if you can be convincing enough, you can tell them that you were hired for an order, and they will believe it for the most part. They won't have anything to cross-reference it against, though, so you're going to have to be really convincing.
I think it can be, since Ryder didn't give me any paperwork to break into the prison, and I managed to make my way in there.
Do we have any idea of so after a closing shift, how many employees would be there?
My guess would be minimum 4.
Security and a cleaning crew, probably. Minimum, yeah.
Maybe 1 scientist working the clinic, just making sure that everything's good for the overnight.
Okay, so we want to do this as cleanly as possible. We don't want to hurt anyone, obviously. We don't want to kill anyone. But how do we do this in such a way that we don't have eyes on us, with the people specifically, I mean? How do we move through that space without our faces being recognized?
If we take out that generator, would that knock out the cameras?
Well, knocking out the power means that Artie can't get into the database.
Right.
Yeah, that'd have to be last. I mean, I think we should kill the generator early, like while the talking's happening, while we're inside, while they know there's nothing amiss and they think it's just a routine delivery. That's when Aiden or Charles should get to the generator and dismantle it. Then, on our way out, we can kill the power. I could potentially kill and remove any security records before, get rid of the recordings of what's happening. But again, that's just going to be more time in their database.
I could keep their attention if somebody can knock them unconscious or something. If anybody has any ideas on that, on how, I mean, they'll start pulling my hair up. Like, if I can hide it under a hat, its face is already known. My reputation's already shot. So this is just malicious Jester hitting another facility.
It's a good story. And if push comes to shove, if we can't do anything about the security, once we're done and we're out of there, I'll talk to Eliza. I know some tricks to make it harder to find us on cameras and digital signatures and such after the fact, but it doesn't do us much good during.
Well, after the fact is all we should really have to be worried about. When they go to investigate what happened, we want to make sure that there's no clear images. As far as their personal recollections, those are probably going to be hazy at best. I mean, what? They're going to say a dark-haired woman, and, well, I mean, you stand out a little bit more, Lucas. Those are some pretty defining you got there going on. But, yeah, I mean, if they get a look at you, if we can take them out before they have any reason to, like, recall any details or study your faces for too long, what they say is going to be hazy at best. Plus, if this is what we know it is, a leech-owned facility. They're not going to want to make this a public thing. That just means more eyes on a situation. They'll probably just vanish the place, honestly, erase it from existence.
Do the work for us.
Yeah. The other thing is we're going to have to be quick, because if they do have any way of getting word out, if there's a panic button, if there's a trigger in the database, they are going to send forces to stop us. This is their food supply. This is more important to them than anything else. And
Okay.
probably one of many, but this is one at least.
Okay, so we have Jester use her silver tongue to get in. We are in. We get Lucas. Would you and Charles be willing to dispatch the people as Jester kind of gets them grouped up? Is that something you're good at?
I mean, if you don't want to make this messy, it's probably better for Aiden to do it than me. I only have one button, and that's on. So, just to be honest.
Okay, but I did want to have Aiden outside taking care of the generator.
Yeah, I think sure.
Okay, well, can you be ready to take out the power once we're all said and done?
Sure.
Okay, then I will have Charles and I take care of the people. And Artie, you'll get into the database.
Yeah. Lucas, do you have anything that would spoil any leftovers faster? Anything that might expedite the process of having the stuff go bad so it wouldn't potentially be used? It just would be disposed of?
I mean, not that would readily spoil it quickly, but I mean, a couple of syringes and a few bottles of Coca-Cola with the citric acid in it is going to cause it to clump up and get gross. But that's going to take time to put it in each one.
Okay. All right. We get out as much as we can into the truck. We'll find a place to get rid of it. I'm pretty sure I can contact some people. It's a little black markety, but as long as it's going not to the leeches, that's the goal, right? I think we should just destroy whatever's left over. Like, slice open the bags, not wait for it to spoil, because there's also a possibility they might just move it. If they do catch wind of this in time, they could just literally come pick it up and move it.
Right, exactly. We do need to keep some, though.
Okay. That sounds like a good plan. I'll get in the trunk or chest or whatever. You guys can wheel me in. Jester can do the talking. Dispatch of the employees temporarily. I'll get to the database. You guys muck up the supply, take whatever we need. Aiden will take out the generator and stay on lookout in case reinforcements do arrive or unexpected guests. And then hopefully it'll be good. I'll see if I can actually completely delete the database too.
I say when we do leave, we go to writer's storage because we don't want to bring them back to anywhere that would be important to us. And it's an easy way to hide the van until we can figure out what to do with it.
I mean, I could drop you guys off there. I'll just go drive the van into the bay.
Wouldn't that
That's
be
easy.
polluting?
I'll drive it around a lot so that there's less gas in it.
Or you could probably just ditch it on the side of the road. The company will come reclaim it.
It's less fun, but doable. Fine.
I'm just saying, we got to think about the Gaia of it all, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely, which is why I said to take it to the storage, because we're still going to have a van full of blood and plasma in there. So we got to take care of that before we just ditch the van.
Yeah, it's going to need to stay refrigerated, and I don't know if the storage unit has refrigeration.
Artie, is there a way to see if those tracking things are in the van so the company doesn't know where it ended up going?
I will go look for that right now.
Thank you.
Artie stands up, grabbing his satchel, and moves outside.
I'm going to text Spud on his little burner phone, and I will text, if you want your supply, you can wait here, and I'll have him wait at the storage facility. Writer's storage place.
Takes a few minutes, but then eventually you get a response text from the same number. Great, here's my shopping list. And you get a bunch of what looks to be serial numbers, just one after another. And then at the bottom, and a box of syringes.
Okay, I will make note of that for everyone.
After about 10 minutes, Artie comes back and he's holding a little box with wires hanging off the side of it. Holds it up, crumbles it in his hand, and tosses it into a trash can. Good idea, Aiden.
It was from the last talk we had about chipping. Like, I bet one of those got one of them things.
Yeah, I think this was mostly for making sure that the drivers aren't speeding or driving erratically, kind of one of those like speed trackers and GPS units, but for an investigation, they would definitely check it. So, good call.
Well, I'm already wearing this uniform, so unfortunately, Jester, this bag is for you. I'm sorry.
Oh, smell the back. No, you're going to change.
No, I
Yes.
did all the work.
And I'm going to have to talk to people. I'm not talking to people in that.
It'll add a certain
No.
du fromage to the conversation.
Nope.
Lucas, change, please.
Jesus. I'm taking my clave in the car with me.
It smells like ketchup and onions. It's disgusting. A
And
terrible
Worcestershire
combination.
sauce.
Yeah, and the Worcestershire sauce. Not good.
You could have just washed it.
We didn't have time for that.
Did you steal the van today?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Fine.
So, Lucas, you go change uniforms, putting on the grotesque uniform that smells of BO and definitely is in need of a wash before switching out of the clothes that you were comfortably wearing that had belonged to Reggie. Passing the uniform over to Jester. Jester, you get changed, and before long, all of you mount up and head out. Which vehicles are you taking? How many vehicles are you taking? What's your plan of approach? Obviously, the truck or transport van is one of them. What about the others?
I think we take Regina also, but not close to the facility. I think we have Regina there, and we... Do we all want to hop in the van, or do we want to have some people move in swiftly, stealthily? Because that's not my forte.
I think 2 people need to go in Regina. The rest of them go in the van. Have the people who are going to be on Overwatch will be sitting back in Regina. And then those who actually go with the van because it's going to be harder to move in if that's the case.
We have Artie in the box, and then Aspen and Charles
We're
in the
going.
truck.
Yeah, they were going in with me,
In the back of the truck.
and you can't drive.
Well, if it's Regina, doesn't Regina basically drive herself, right? No? That's okay.
We might be able to talk to her into it, I suppose.
Her and I are in goodish terms. I ignore her, she ignores me. It's a great relationship we have.
Oh my god.
Charles
I'm gonna
pipes
go
up
talk.
at this point. Aiden and I will take my car. The other 4 can go in the truck. I can take care of the employees in the front. Aspen can assist in taking care of the employees in the back.
Thank you, Charles.
So with that, you divide into your separate vehicles and you make your way across town to the plasma clinic. It is in a small strip mall bordering a street, not quite a main street, but one of the more heavily trafficked streets, one of those that has a divider down the center for U-turns along the way. As you arrive later in the evening, there is still a somewhat steady stream of traffic on the street. It looks like rush hour has ended. These are just the last vestiges of people either heading to their work for the night or heading home for the evening, returning from dinner. As you pull up to the plasma clinic, Charles and Aiden park a couple of blocks away. But you bring the truck around back into the parking lot behind the facility, and there's another car in the back parking lot that's parked away from the bay doors, likely employee parking. There's a couple of cars parked out front. From the front window, you can see a receptionist at the desk looking over some paperwork. It looks like most of the lights are turned off to make it appear like it's closed or closing, but you can see that they seem to be doing their final work for the evening. Aiden, as soon as Charles parks the car, he looks over to you and then immediately drops down into a lupus form and goes off behind the buildings that you're parked in front of, moving towards the plasma clinic.
I follow suit.
Jester and Lucas, you park the large delivery truck right by the bay doors, backing it up to the roll-up bay door that is used for pushing refrigerators in and out of the back of the truck. And the scene is yours. How do you wish to approach?
You have the actual badge that works, right? Or would it not work here?
Will we use this badge to get into the facility we took the truck from? I imagine this place might have its own badge, but here, I'll unclip it and hand it to her.
No,
There
no.
is
Keep.
a little doorbell call box on the back door.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that.
I'll grab the paperwork that Artie supplied and let's do this. Hold still. I'm gonna take like a little bottle of homemade rose water and just spray him. That might help.
That's too small of a bottle.
I could pour the whole bottle over you.
That might be an option we need to entertain. That's nice. But it's already not working.
You should have washed it. I'll climb out.
Climbing out of the truck, closing the back doors in the back of the truck, Aspen, you're sitting, waiting. Artie is waiting as well, kind of looking over towards this refrigerator. He's expected to climb inside that they're going to wheel into the facility. Warm me up before I get wheeled in? And he gives you a wink.
Absolutely.
He pulls you in for a very passionate kiss before letting you go. Yep, that'll do it. And he immediately climbs into the fridge, closing the door behind him. Jester.
Aspen is
Oh yeah, Aspen, go ahead.
Aspen, because she is wearing like a thick hoodie and some like baggier pants, is going to go into Glabra though.
Okay, go ahead and make the rage check to shift into your almost demi-human form. Passing the rage check, you feel your muscles start to fill out. The clothes tighten on your form a little bit more as you fill out the bagginess of those clothes, growing a little bit taller, a little bit thicker, even a little bit hairier, maybe a little bit on the arms, the legs. but you prepare yourself, feeling your adrenaline start to pick up. Aiden, Charles leads you along the back of the building, sticking very close to the buildings themselves, trying to use what shadows are cast from the street lights nearby to cover his path. Go ahead and roll a dexterity and stealth in your lupus form, which gives you the bonus 2 dice to move along the buildings and approach.
Six.
6 successes. Okay. It's a very stealthy and very clean approach. You move behind closed or for lease lots of the strip mall, drawing closer to the point that you can see the truck that you absconded with pulled up to the back of the facility. At this point, Charles stops by the edge of the buildings across the street from the facility and slowly shifts back up into his Hamid form, his suit remaining behind, which he straightens out. He looks down to you. If there is a generator, it is likely at the back of the facility, past the bay doors. Once they're inside, slip past them and dismantle it however you need to. This doesn't require precision. It just requires force. And that I know you can do.
He'll give a nod and his tail wagging. Then he'll stealthily make his way towards the back.
Okay, Jester, Lucas, you were standing outside the facility, the call box nearby.
Press the button.
It gives a small buzz. And after a moment, you hear a click and a voice from the other side. Hello?
Hi, yeah, we have a pickup.
Just a moment. You hear it click off. And it clicks on again. We don't have any pickups scheduled for today.
Oh, that's weird. I mean, I was sent out here with this paperwork. Are you sure? There must have been some sort of miscommunication because you want to take a look at the paperwork. I can show it to you.
Give me a manipulation and subterfuge.
I'm going to spend a willpower.
Can I give her an assist?
Yeah, absolutely. You can take an additional die.
Okay. 4 successes.
Lucas, how would you be assisting?
I'm just kind of repeating and yelling behind it, like in the background, like hurry up, we're
Okay.
late. Just kind of adding those emphatic statements.
With your 4 successes, you hear in response on the call box, all right, be right there. You hear it shut off. A couple of moments later, the door shakes a little bit as the handle is turned and opened from the inside. You see a young man, probably in his early 20s, looks like a med tech assistant dressed in scrubs, with the short sleeve scrubs, but then the long sleeve kind of like undershirt underneath going up to the wrist. He's got scraggly brown hair that looks like it is cut short to look professional, but it looks like it's been a long day, like he's been running his hands through his hair, so it's got a little bit of the disheveled spikiness on top. Let me see the paperwork.
I'll hand it to him.
I'm going to start unlatching the roll up on the back of the truck and just have my hand on it, ready to whip it open.
Son of a bitch. He's looking over leafing through the paperwork. We don't have any of this ready. It's going to take a few minutes. I thought we were done for the day.
Ugh, that sucks. Fine.
Steve must have fucked up again. Yeah, just wait here. I'll get the door open. Just give us a few minutes to get everything ready.
Hey, you
Okay.
got a bathroom?
Yeah, man, come on. And he holds the door open.
I'll follow.
As you walk inside, there is a small loading bay. You can see some of the refrigerant units that aren't currently in use pushed off to the side of the bay. It looks like there's a ramp that comes down from a higher level that can be used to wheel some of these refrigerants down to the loading itself and right out onto the truck. He walks in, taking the paperwork behind him, drops it down on a desk nearby, almost like a shipping and receiving desk. And you can see beyond that, there is another set of doors that heads into a laboratory, but there's a small hallway that goes off to the left. He points down to a door at the end of the hallway. Bathrooms are down there.
Thank you. I'm sure you can smell it. I gotta go.
Do your thing, man. Long day.
I would have followed him in. Might not be your side. We got this new person. Totally a ditz. I swear. She is like messed up on paperwork on like 10 different jobs. I'll activate animal magnetism. I'm gonna continue to distract him.
Okay. So as you keep talking to him, he becomes less and less interested in the paperwork, which he's left on the counter, and turns and leans back against it, nodding his head along, talking to you, enjoying the conversation. Lucas, what are you doing?
As I'm heading down the hallway, I'm looking for maintenance doors, anything labeled high voltage, maintenance, anything, or any kind of signs that would be anywhere.
Give me a wits and investigation check.
Three successes.
Okay. So you do see that the hallway has a bathroom, nondescript, flanking it on one wall. It has both the kind of just generic bathroom logo for both unisex bathroom, little sign placarded on the door. On the other side, however, you do see a utility closet and possibly a engineering room, probably most likely where the power breaker is and everything like that. Yeah, so there are just the two doors, and then it ends in a dead end at the end of the hallway. It's a very short hallway.
All right, I'm gonna head into that utility closet.
You do try the door, and it is locked.
Get the lockpicks out.
Okay. Roll me a dexterity and larceny. Meanwhile, Aiden, having watched the situation from across the street, you slink across as soon as you see the door open and Jester and Lucas go inside, the door closing behind them. Making your way past the large truck that is backed up against it, roll me a wits and awareness as you are looking to find the generator box.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
While in the lupus form, because I'm wolf-born, and they mentioned that it runs off gas, can I be trying to track down the smell of gas and then add the dice?
Yeah, actually, instead, let's make it a wits and survival check, and you can take the bonus die from your favor to try and track it down.
4.
4 successes. You do pick up the faintest smell of gas. It looks like it's kind of gas that has been sitting stagnant for a while, like it hasn't been needed recently. Although the only reason you are picking up the scent is that there is a slight burn to it, as if the generator had been active maybe a couple of weeks ago. But you are able to pick that out of all of the smells in the surrounds, which, following that smell, moving around the side of the building even more on the opposite side that you approached from, you do eventually see a large generator box that is hooked up to the side of the building.
He'll stay in the lupus form, but is there a gate to it or a door or anything to the just exposed? Cool.
Yep.
Okay, he'll just slunk in there and just wait in his lupus form till the time needs.
Okay. Inside, Lucas, what did you get on the pick locks?
4 successes.
4 successes. It is a little bit of a jimmying work, but it doesn't take you very long at all. You get the tumblers in place, turn the handle, and the door swings open into the maintenance closet. Inside, you do see that there is a breaker box up against the side of the concrete wall. There's also a ton of mechanical supplies. You can hear the whirring of motors inside that seem to be powering some of the refrigerators that are permanently installed in the wall, as if a freezer is hooked up on the other side of this wall that sources its power from inside of here. There's also some supplies, a dolly, a shelving unit that has some cleaning supplies and some sanitizing supplies on it, as well as a back stock of that stuff that needs to be brought into the laboratory itself.
So there's a breaker box. I'm gonna just pop that open and look for there's the one at the top is usually the main, like the biggest breaker.
Yep.
And then I'm just gonna take out my phone and I'm gonna text the group and say, at the breaker, ready to go.
Jester, as you're standing and talking to the assistant, he just talks about like, yeah, it's been crazy lately. There's just, it feels like nobody's got their shit together. Sucks for being the graveyard shift, I suppose.
Kind of does. How about we give each other a hand? I can help, help you move some stuff into the truck.
Yeah, if you just go hit that button on the wall over there, it'll open up the garage door. I'll go get the supplies gathered together.
Sounds good. Let me start getting it ready.
He walks in through the double doors as you do as instructed and walk over and press the garage door, which opens up the bay door, exposing the back of the truck in front of you. At the moment, you are left alone as you see him go through these swinging double doors that seem to go into the laboratory itself. But you can hear him talking to another individual on the side of the door. We got another pickup. And you hear the person on the other side say, I thought we were just... What? And they start to kind of murmur and argue back and forth, but the voices get muffled as the swinging doors close.
I'll move to the truck and slide open the doors.
Okay. Inside, you see a hulking Aspen, as well as the refrigerant chest that Artie is clearly stashed inside.
We don't have long. They're getting blood in the doors.
How many?
2, I think, right now.
Yeah. And she'll hop out of the truck. Do you want to distract him and I'll take him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Grabbing the chest that Artie is in and wheeling it into the loading dock. How do you want to go about this?
I'll move to the double doors and knock and be like, hey, do you guys need any help?
You look over and you see the tech that you were talking to, as well as an additional lab assistant who seems to actually be wearing a lab coat, looking over the paperwork more carefully. The lab assistant, or the scientist, will say, stepping off towards some freezer units. We're just getting the order together. If you can bring in the transportation unit, we'll have it ready in probably about 15 minutes.
All right. Head over to the rolling transportation unit. This is going to be a surprise.
Okay.
Point to the doors. Come in behind me. I'll start grabbing the transportation unit. And then stepping in, I'm going to try to move it so that, like, when I'm talking to them, their backs are turned toward the double door, towards the double door, or from the double. Their backs are to the double doors.
So you're going to push the box in further into the room so that they have to follow you to turn away from the double doors that you came through.
Right.
Okay.
And I think animal magnetism is for a scene.
Roll me a dexterity and subterfuge to try and draw their eye. I'll give you an additional bonus die because of the animal magnetism to really draw their attention away, to see if you can give assistance to Aspen when she leaps in.
So, I have a check. It's a social skill that I'm doing this, right?
If you know what? Let's make it manipulation and subterfuge then, because that'll make it more social, as if you're trying to like talk to them and distract them enough. Well, yeah.
Because animal magnetism gives my glory as a bonus,
Okay.
which is 2. So
Yeah, then do that. Perfect.
all right. Five successes.
5 success. So as you wheel in the chest, pushing through the double doors, moving into the lab itself, the scientist kind of calls out, "No, just you can leave it in the and they start to step in front of the doors as if trying to gesture you back towards the loading dock. Aspen, they have both of their backs to you at the moment.
Yeah, I would like to go in and first knock out, or if I could somehow get both of them at the same time, but the intention is just to get them unconscious, but not to like fatal injuries the best I can.
Okay, so you kind of want to move in and put them in a double chokehold and just drop them down to the ground. Okay. Roll me a strength and brawl. You have the 2 bonus die because of your glabro form. Jester, if you wanted to assist, I would allow you to do so because you could technically help knock both of them out.
I'll assist.
Or if you both want to make strength and brawl checks, you could each take 1 out. It's a little hard to do 2 people at the same time, even in glabro.
Yeah. We could each take 1.
Okay, then both of you roll strength and brawl checks.
Would it bring down the difficulty if I also use stare down on the scientist guy?
That would more likely cause them to flee than it would cause them to like submit. I mean, I guess it does cow them to a certain degree.
Up to you. I just wanted to know if it would add any benefit.
I would say no, not in this particular case, because you're not having like a direct confrontation with them. You are literally surprise attacking them.
Okie dokie, I'm gonna roll a willpower.
Okay.
I'm also going to roll a willpower.
Okay, 5 successes from Aspen.
5 successes with a crit.
There is a little bit of a struggle, but not much. They are caught completely off guard. So as you grab one of each of the individuals and kind of lock them in, grappling them, you are able to pretty briefly put them down. Both of you roll me a wits and awareness, however. Okay. 2 successes. So Jester, you're the one to notice it. As you kind of drop these men down, there is a little bit of a scuffle, and one of them knocks over a beaker, which falls onto the floor and shatters. From the front room, you hear, "Everything okay back there?" But before anybody can enter in from the front room, you hear a crunch noise, like a door being yanked off of its hinges. Most likely the front door being broken open. And after a moment, you hear another scuffle, a thud, and then the door to the back room opens and Charles is standing in the front door.
Is there anybody else in the building? As we I rolled a 1, but
There does not appear to be anybody present currently.
I'm opening the freezer.
Okay. Opening up the freezer, you see Artie is almost in a fetal position inside, and he's slightly shaking a little bit as the refrigerant of the freezer continues to cool, but he reaches up and grabs the edge and climbs out. Next time one of you is in the box.
Are you going to knock someone out next time?
I'ma try.
Okay.
He clambers out of the box and starts rubbing his shoulders as he makes his way over to one of the computer terminals and starts typing away rapidly. So, in front of you, off to one side of this laboratory room, you see long kind of tables that are out, various microscopes, equipment, lots of lab equipment nearby. It looks like they have a means for injecting preservatives into the samples that they gain to make sure that they last longer. It is essentially a full-purpose blood lab, more refined towards plasma specifically. They have centrifuges, they have processing and analysis equipment, but on the far wall there is a large freezer door that leads into like a refrigerant area. Going in through that freezer door, you can see racks on racks on racks, many of them on wheels, containing large blue bins, some of them with these bags of this plasma fluid and blood, all of them labeled with the different types of blood and serial numbers.
With that, yeah, I'm gonna start grabbing whatever Spud needs, and maybe a little extra, just for a little extra spice for him, a little extra incentive.
All right, give me a wits and investigation.
I know we talked about supplies. Did we happen to bring like rope or anything
What would you need rope for?
to tie people up?
Sure, why not? I think rope is basic heist equipment. You probably have a coil of rope in the back of the truck.
I'm going to start tying the unconscious people up, just in
Okay.
case we don't need them waking up while we're getting this done.
I would say if you are tying them all together, Charles would drag in the receptionist from the front area. They do not look terribly harmed, but it looks like they did take a good knock to the side of the head. So you can see some bruising starting to splay out on the side of their face as he drags them in behind them with one hand and lumps them against the other two, and you sit them up and prop them up against each other, wrapping the rope around them slowly but surely. Aspen, what'd you get in that investigation check?
4.
4 successes. Okay, so it does take a little bit of time. There is a lot of resources to go through here. You're having to pull various trays out, grabbing all of the bags, or maybe even taking the whole tray itself. You do see that there is a 4-wheeled cart of sorts that's off to the side, obviously for loading these trays on, and you stack it up and stack it up and stack it up. And as you're looking, there are some odd requests on this list. Comparing them specifically to the serial numbers, like it's a variety of blood types or specifications that Spud is asking for on this list. You also see that there are some serial numbers on a shelving unit that is more towards the back that have some odd descriptors on it. And the descriptors are in the shape of just little stickers that appear to have facial expressions on them. One of them is like a smiley face. One of them is a crying face. One of them appears scared. One of them appears, angry. Oddly placed stickers along the shelf, and it does seem that a lot of the items on Spud's list pertain to those specifically. But you do end up taking these trays and setting them on the cart, loading up the cart. The cart fills up quickly. He had quite an extensive shopping list, but you do end up grabbing what you believe it is you will need. Aiden, outside, you're waiting by the generator. Roll me a wits and awareness.
Three.
You are able to hear a little bit of a scuffle inside from when they launched their little attack, but it does go quiet afterwards, and you can hear them moving about, carts squeaking. You can hear Jester talking quietly to Aspen, Charles occasionally piping in with an odd word here and there.
Okay. Knowing that, I'm gonna go back in the Hammond, so I don't need to be as stealthy anymore. And then he's going to just shoot them a message. Just let me know when.
Aspen, you get the message. Jester, you get the message. Lucas, you also get it as you're all in your various positions.
Look at
Okay.
the message, then look to Aspen. Well, does the backup generator, does it matter if it goes first or last?
I don't think so. It just needs to be gone so we can tell him as soon as possible.
Okay.
As she's still grabbing things off the shelves and stuff
I'll
and
text
putting
him.
them on the cart.
You can take care of the backup generator now.
Already got his things?
It doesn't matter because the regular electricity's on.
Okay. Going to Glabro and try and find where the connection valves to the actual generator are and just try and rip those off of them.
Okay. Give me. This is gonna be an interesting one. You could probably just give me a strength and athletics roll on this one. I was gonna have you do strength and possibly academics or strength and craft because this is complex machinery. But if you're looking for blunt-fisted destruction, you could just do a strength and athletics.
Cool. Glabro gets +2 die.
+2 dice, yeah.
Ooh.
Physical checks. Did you make the rage check to switch into Glabro?
Oh, no, I didn't. I lost a rage.
Okay. So you're down to 1 rage at the moment.
Yep.
But you do hulk into your large demi-human form, grabbing onto any cords or any pipes that are coming off the thing and just start yanking on them.
That is 7 successes.
Okay. It is very quick work. Grabbing the cord with a hand, you yank it, and even a few sparks fly off. Whatever the power feed is that goes to this thing that alerts that the machine's going to shut off just yanks out of the side of it. At that point, the engine for the generator kicks on, assuming that the power had died and had been triggered. But you make quick work of that as well as you grab another pipe off the side and break it off. And this very strong, toxic fluid smell starts to fill your nostrils as the diesel gasoline starts spraying out of one of the hoses out of the back of the unit.
With that, does the engine slowly, as the fuel starts spewing, does it
Yeah,
start
it
like
dies
sputtering?
down.
Okay.
It sputters and dies pretty quickly. It seems like you broke whatever the reservoir that feeds into it. You disconnected that, so the gas that is actually powering it dies down pretty quickly.
Okay. With that, he will step out from that area, not trying to get any of the gas on him, and then he'll let them know power's down. And at that point, he's gonna find a secluded spot to be overwatch, to observe and see if anyone's coming.
Okay. Give me a strength and athletics. The best overwatch points you're going to get is probably up on the roof. So grabbing onto some of the stone rock nearby, you can shimmy your way up or kind of clamber your way up on top of the building to get up there.
5 successes.
Again, not very difficult at all with a little bit of a leap, grabbing onto some of the rock itself that seems to be outcropping, or using a meter reading box, an energy reading box. You can force your foot up and get up onto the roof until you have a nice perch up above on top of the building. Lucas, you're sitting in the maintenance closet. Sounds like all the fun's happening out there, waiting for the sign. What's going through your head during this time?
Lucas is staring at this shelving unit of chemicals, of cleaning chemicals. It's probably abrasives, bleach, mopping stuff, everything. And he's sitting there going through his phone to type in these ingredients to find basically the combination of these that would be the most caustic collection of them together, that he could grab a couple of these mop buckets, fill up, and then when they tell him to shut off the power, he could just throw it on the refrigeration generators and throw it into the breaker box.
Sure. Give me an intelligence and science roll. It's not really a poison that you're crafting. You're trying to look up a combination that would absolutely annihilate any kind of power sources or
Spendable power? 2 successes.
2 successes. Okay. It takes some time. You put together something you think will work. Taking the mop buckets, you just start pouring the chemicals in, just opening the whole bottle and dumping it in, trying to mix together some sort of combination. It's hard to say. This kind of stuff would take a while to find on the internet, especially since that's not the information they really want out there, easily accessible, but you make your best educated guess and start putting together some sort of cocktail of absolute destruction for the power. Aspen, after a little while, you've got the cart loaded up with what you believe you will need to satisfy Spud's shopping list. What are you thinking you want to do next?
Okay, after all of that is done, I'm going to stick his stuff specifically into the freezer. Regardless of what it is, it's all going to go into the freezer. And then I'm going to look at Charles. Charles, help me get the rest of the blood bags and everything out of here so we can just get rid of it. Let's start throwing it in the truck, into the van.
All right. He walks over to one of the discarded refrigeration units, or the ones that are currently powered off in the unit, or in the loading bay, and starts wheeling it up the platform, takes it over to the freezer, opens it up, and just starts grabbing trays and shoving it in. Jester, what are you doing?
I'm gonna help Artie,
Okay.
honestly.
Looking over Artie's shoulder as he's typing away at the computer, you can see he's going through various databases, bringing up the lists of manifests. But as he's working, you hear the printer hum on next to him as he's typing away. And you can see that he has started printing some documents from the computer itself. Eventually, he brings up the security feed, disconnects the cameras almost immediately, and deletes the past several backups from the database. There's something weird here, and I could look into it, but it's going to take a little bit longer.
What is it?
They have an external drive, a dedicated drive. It came up as I was poking around, searching through some stuff, but it doesn't appear to be part of the central drive. It doesn't seem to be. It was masked, effectively. I don't know what's in it, but if I open it up, I don't know what's going to come with that.
Look to where they're, I'm gonna check to where they're taking the blood out. Do you think it'll ping anything? Cause any?
Well, it's connected over a network, and they wanted to make sure it wasn't seen.
Let me text Aspen and let her know.
Okay.
Text Aspen. Already found an external drive, but it's hidden. We're afraid it might gain attention if we access it, but it's got stuff. It's probably got something on it.
Reading that text, how far along do I think we are as far as like moving everything out?
You effectively just started the process of taking anything else. You had just finished up taking the shopping list worth of goods, which has already taken probably a good 10-15 minutes already to do. Depending on how much of the stock you want to take, how much you want to try and load up and take out, it could take a while. I mean, there is a lot of specimens here, a lot of samples here.
Do I think if I had Charles just start destroying stuff, it might go faster?
It would probably go pretty fast, depending on how destructive you wanted Charles to be.
Okay. I'm going to look at Charles as I'm still grabbing stuff, right? As much as I can. Charles, this is going to be a lot faster if you just start wrecking stuff.
Very well. You may want to take what you came for and go outside.
Okay. And if you feel yourself hitting any sort of brink, don't worry about it. Just, be safe.
I know how to control myself, Miss Weiss.
Good. I'm glad. And I'll start wheeling stuff away. I'll send a text to Jester and do it quickly.
She said do it quickly.
Artie nods and immediately starts typing again. And as he does so, he moves over to another drive and opens it up. Take those documents.
All right.
Get away from here. He opens up the drive, and almost immediately several screens start popping up, code running down the screens, and he is desperately typing and reading over the code. Roll me an intelligence and technology check as you get a look over his shoulder.
Two successes.
From what you can tell, these seem to be some sort of routing pathways. That this is connecting to a multitude of other systems in other locations, other places. It's hard to tell because it's primarily in code. It's not in nice 1990s hacker fashion where everything has labels and is put pretty cleanly. It is just straight code that is whirring down the screen. But Artie seems to be reading it with a very awareness and aptitude, as if it was written in just plain English. After a few moments, he stops and looks over. Aspen?
I'll run out.
They connected several facilities through a network. I could shut down at least a dozen of these places right now if you wanted me to. Completely delete their databases. Like this is a burn it all key. I don't know why this is here. I don't know who put this here, but this will nuke the entire system across a good portion of the area. Maybe the whole peninsula, maybe all of Southwest Florida. I'm not entirely sure, but this is connected to several other databases. And if I execute this, it'll launch, in layman's terms, a virus that will eat away and destroy the data at all of those facilities. Now, if I do this, there's going to be a lot of collateral damage, but it'll also strike a huge blow against the kindred, or against the leeches.
She'll stop, take a deep breath, contemplate for a second, look towards the freezer and the general direction of where Lucas is, and look at Jester as she's kind of walking out. Stare right into Artie's eyes. Do it.
Okay. He hits a few keystrokes, and as he does so and strikes it, the computer system, or the screen, flashes blue. And then dies. We should probably get out of here, because that definitely is going to notify somebody.
Absolutely. She's going to send a group text immediately.
I'm grabbing the paperwork and heading towards the truck. Do you need me to wheel anything?
Would it, even like the blood that we've taken, is it like just in like freezers? How does it work exactly? Like
so the big freezer chest that you wheeled Artie in should be enough to sustain these specimens for a good little while. With the additional freezer that Charles brought in, if that's booted up, it'll keep things good for probably a good 12 hours to 24 hours. before it starts to, go bad. This is meant to be for short-term deliveries. The big freezer chest you have will last probably 48 hours, but the smaller one was really meant for temporary delivery and to be returned later. So the specimens that you took for Spud will last, if you put them in the big freezer chest, a lot longer than the ones the excess that you're taking.
Okay, but as far as like the virus and stuff to shut down facilities and things like that, it's just shutting them down, or is it doing, what is it doing exactly as far as that goes? We don't know.
Don't know.
Okay, then I'm just gonna take what we have, look at Jester. Let's just take what we have and go. I'm sure Charles has done his stuff, and she'll just start running towards the van.
Behind
Lucas.
you, from the freezer room, you hear absolute carnage. Metal being bent, twisted, shattering glass, occasional roars. And then you hear a whoosh as heat comes pouring out of the sample freezer. And a bright glow goes from in the sample freezer. The door at the same time smashes open as a Krynos Charles comes barreling out of the room, his fur on fire. As you see, little hoses above are spraying out fire into the room, the sample room, burning everything inside.
Is there a fire extinguisher?
Roll me a wits and investigation.
When
Lucas would hear
Aspen,
that though, right?
Yes.
yeah, when Aspen sends the text that we're done here, I'm just gonna send 1 minute, and then after a minute, I'm shutting the breakers.
Okay.
3 successes.
There is a fire extinguisher very close by, yes.
I'm going to grab it and put Charles out.
Okay. So spraying the fire retardant fuel all over Charles. You can see that he was burned pretty badly when the destructive, almost napalm-like fluid was sprayed out of these hoses attached inside of the containment unit, destroying everything inside. Even after Lucas shuts off the breakers, the flames are still burning inside of the freezer, which is now just busted open. Whatever it was that Artie executed probably not just ate the systems, it probably destroyed any samples in several facilities across an unknown widespread area. It was literally a burn it down program that was somehow snuck into or embedded into the system. Charles appears okay, but he does look, a lot of his fur is kind of burnt up and burned off of his body. He did take several levels of aggravated damage from this. And you can see he's kind of crunched on the floor, some smoke and a little bit of fire still rising from him as you put it out. Aspen.
I would like, as he gets closer to me, I'm gonna do Mother's Touch on him.
Okay. Go ahead and roll it.
I'm gonna start throwing the chemicals on the breaker, on the generators, the everything that's in that room. I'm just gonna cover as much as possible, and then I'm gonna take out the tomahawk that I have, and I'm just gonna start chopping at not the feed breaker, not the feed side of the panel, but the lower side of the panel. Just start chopping that main cable that feeds all those breakers out, so that there's massive wire and cable damage.
Okay, give me a dexterity and athletics roll. A lot of the damage you're doing is going to send sparks flying and potentially could be harmful if the fluids ignite. So just to make sure that you don't get hurt in the process.
3 successes.
3 successes. Okay. So you do bash away at several electrical outlets using a wood-handled hatchet. You don't actually have any risk of being electrocuted when make contacts, but sparks do go flying off of the various power feeds and sources, which immediately send the entire facility into darkness as you wheel what remains onto the truck and van. What are you doing with the 3 individuals who are currently tied up and unconscious?
Going to move them out to like where the main like warehouse area where the, like, you know, the large back door or back where we're loading the truck, and just like leave them there so like if the fire spreads it doesn't catch to them.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay. So yeah, you push them out of the building and kind of put them into the parking lot, trying to leave them somewhere that it won't get potentially harmful to them, but that they can recover and probably be found without any problem. Charles is still in pretty bad shape. That unexpected gout of flame didn't do him any favors, but after using Mother's Touch, Aspen, how many successes did you get?
So I got 3. I don't know what his rage would be at, but I figured from him going Krynos and all of that, he'd probably be at like a solid 2. So if he is, then I would be able to give him 1 aggravated back.
Okay, so you do see some of the burned, kind of raw flesh knit together a little bit more and recover, but he is still in pretty rough shape as he comes out of his Krynos form, returning into his Hamid form. The suit is still on his body, strangely enough, but he looks a lot more worse for wear than he did when he first made the transition. He achy and sorely gets back up to his feet. I'm fine. Take everything and go. I will meet up with you later.
That's not how this works, and I'm going to grab him and get him in the van.
I have to make sure the vehicle gets moved. They're going to search the area.
Your vehicle? I'll take it. Get in the van.
Give me a charisma or manipulation and leadership.
Can I add my favor? Since it's a leadership
you are giving
role?
an order.
Five.
Okay. 5 successes. He looks like he wants to resist, but he just bows his head and makes his way for the back of the truck. Aiden, up on the roof, roll me a wits and awareness.
Trying to listen for cars coming up and like sirens off in the distance. My Wolfborn merit allows me to add an additional die if I'm using anything like scent or hearing.
Yeah. Yes,
sweet.
can include that.
4.
4 successes. There are cars out on the road, but they don't seem to be diverting path. They don't seem to be making any movement in your way. What you do see is a small, almost like emergency light on a small pole that sticks out of the roof, just barely cresting the rooftop, pops on and starts flashing. Just a dull red glow flashing repetitively, almost like one of those lights that you see on the top of very, very tall towers to alert planes, low-flying planes, of its existence. But it's just a single rod sticking out of the ground with a little light bulb on top that just starts pulsing and flashing.
Gonna walk over to that, just grab onto it and just try and crush it.
Okay. It's not hard at all. Grabbing onto it, you just give it a quick bend, it snaps, and the light bulb starts flashing. Eventually, you hear everyone exiting the facility out back. You can hear the rolling of wheels as the cart gets pushed up into the back of the truck. And you depart, successfully having destroyed not just one, but several facilities that are used for plasma, blood, and who knows whatever else. The consequences of your actions today will be felt for a very, very long time to come. That being said, the mission was a success. And as you drive away, you make it some distance away before you see cars and sirens speeding towards the facility. They don't seem to stop or take notice of the vehicle, passing it by, going the opposite direction at high, intense speeds, moving in the direction of the facility you have just abandoned and left. And that is where our story tonight comes to a close. But we transition to another scene. In the dark bowels of a basement, a gnarled, disgusting looking individual that you know to be Masterson if you've been watching this show for quite some time, his face completely disfigured, his bat ears notched, sits behind a computer terminal, tapping rapidly. The glow of the computer is the only thing igniting his face. And you see the same boxes of scrolling code going over the screen, the same that Artie was looking at previously. He watches, then reaches over to a phone and picks it up. He dials a number on the phone, and then after a moment, "It's been sprung. It's all gone. Just as you wanted." He then hangs up the phone. We transition once more to another phone call where a stout, muscular woman with curly brown hair stands talking on the phone, where you can hear from the other end Bateman's voice go, "Do it." She nods, hangs up the phone, and walks into a trailer park. A trailer park which at the end of this very long, winding driveway sits Eliza Ross's trailer. And that is where this story and the first half of this season comes to a close. Thank you so much to these incredible players. Thank you to all of you watching at home. We'll be back in about 4 or 5 weeks, so pay attention to the schedule, because St. Pete by Night and Rage Across Tampa are off to the races. Thank you so much to everybody watching. Go follow St. Pete by Night on the social media listed down below. We love you all so much, and we're going to miss you over the next couple of weeks, but we've got a lot more programming on the way. So check out our schedule, check out some of our other amazing shows, and we'll see you in just about a month. Thank you so much, and have a lovely evening. Good night, everyone.
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production. Rage Across Tampa is produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Dark Pack. The storyteller for Rage Across Tampa is Kent. Tonight's characters were voiced by Preston, Champ, Noree, Simon, and Walks the Web. Visit our website at stpetebynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become part of our community. Thank you for listening. Until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.